They're here, so there's a dog. So they're kind of in a pickle going, we bought
This
this.
is one of them things that the person doesn't know
Otters goes through.
enough to make a really intelligent decision.
It's a bad one.
Thank
Thank you, that's why we have our attorney here too.
Ever took a duck?
Brought my lunch.
I think it's gonna be a long meeting.
Looks like 9 o'clock to me, so I'll call to order the Land Use and Information Committee meeting for December 2nd, 2025. Notice has been posted in accordance with Wisconsin statute 19.84 open meeting law. At this point on the agenda, it is a time for public comments. If anyone is here for a public comment, not on the agenda for public hearing, now is the time to do that. Otherwise, when we call to order the public hearing for public comments, you'll get your chance to speak then. Seeing none, I'll move on to a motion to approve the agenda.
So make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I think Supervisor Anderson was first, Supervisor Moyer seconded it. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried. Approval of the minutes of the November 4th, 2025 meeting.
To approve the minutes.
Motion by Supervisor Blomberg, second by Supervisor Pecker. Any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. On to the public hearings. Jason, do you want to read the public hearing?
Notice of public hearing, state of Wisconsin, County of Burnett, Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 at 9 a.m. at the Burnett County Government Center, room 165, Town of Meenan, Siren, Wisconsin, regarding the following Burnett County Land Use Shoreline Protection Ordinances. Number 1, conditional use permit CUP 2519 Yellow Lake Mobile MHP Mobile Home Park or Manufactured Home Park LLC. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Oakland, Burnett County, Wisconsin, to Andrew Freeman on behalf of Yellow Lake Manufactured Home Park LLC has made an application for a conditional use permit for the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances to modify CUP 2119 to remove condition number 7, which stated the expanded site was to be the owner's residence, not rental property, located on the parcel with tax ID 36493. The specific expanded site has an address of 28271 Ivy Wood Drive in the RR3 zoning district, lot 1, CSM, volume 30, page 43, section 20, town 40 north, range 16 west.
Okay, is the applicant online?
Yes.
Okay, you want to explain this to us as much as you can?
The applicant, give you an
Yes.
explanation? Yeah, so we're here today to request modification of condition 7 of CUP 21-19. And we feel the cleanest and legally safest way to resolve this confusion that's surrounding this condition. As written, the expansion site will be the owner's residence, not rental property. Today, the home is the owner's residence. It's owner occupied, it's not a rental home. And the park does not own or rent the structure. This is exactly what the CUP text as written states. The dispute arises over the question of which owner condition they're referring to, the owner of the home, the owner of the park. That distinction was never made clear in the CUP language. And we strongly feel that under Wisconsin law, including Bettendorf or St. Croix County, CUP conditions must be enforced according to their written text. It can't be based on interpretation or what was intended. And we're fully compliant of what the written text is with what in the CUP. Meeting discussions, assumptions, or unexpressed intentions cannot be enforced unless they're clearly written into the CUP language itself. And charging pad rent to a homeowner does not convert an owner-occupied home into rental property. It keeps saying this home is rental property. This is a manufactured home, and with state law with a manufactured home, it's renting of the structure itself constitutes rental property, not charging lot rent for the pad site. So it's still that ground, the basis for the town saying that it's rental property is still not valid. We're not, they're paying pad rent like the other 31 homes in the site. This home does not have, it's an expanded site, but the thing is, they're treating it like it's a separate parcel. This is just another site on the same parcel as all the other mobile homes. The confusion I think is arising here is the town is not fully understanding that a mobile home, this is personal property. They're trying to impose a restriction that personal property cannot be sold. It's like telling Kim and Paul they can't sell their car. Ricky can't sell his car because it's so there's some confusion surrounding there. And the basis of everything here, I think that the CUP language as written is just clearly unclear. And when there's CUP language, it's unclear. I mean, there's state law and that dictates that it has to be aired on the side of caution in favor of the not in favor of the town. I mean, it has to be. So in this case, it would be Kim and Paul or the park, Yellow Lake MHP LLC. And to go on, I mean, how much time do I have here before I do I have 3 minutes or can I keep talking?
You are not limited on time, and I believe we will extend the same courtesy to the town's argument as well. So proceed.
Okay. I want to emphasize condition 7 as interpreted. And this is the main point here at the end of the day. This condition as interpreted, as the town wants to enforce, it's not hurting the previous owner, Rick Dubois, who I feel they have a grudge against, and they're really the whole basis here. Because I mean, this by Kim and Paul living in this home, it's not hurting anyone. They're not expanding the park. We're not expanding the footprint. I believe their parents lived in the first site in the park when it was built. I mean, these aren't outsiders living there. It's Rick's not being punished here. He's in Florida. He's warmer weather than all of us. He's no skin off his back. It really doesn't punish us as the park owner. So if that is required to be our house, and now the owners have a additional house that now we own a home in the park, and the victims are Kim and Paul. I mean, I believe I see them sitting there today. We're trying to enforce a rule that really has no bearing, no impact on the park owner, the former park owner. It's directly benefits them or directly impacts them, and that's why I'm here. I mean, I'm not here for self. I mean, to me, I don't see a real punishment to us if they were to enforce this. It's the punishment is to Kim and Paul. You got an elderly couple, one with stage 4 cancer, and if we have to enforce this how the town wants it to be enforced, I mean, I have to go evict or other and throw out 90-year-old residents onto the streets in winter. So I don't think the intentions of the enforcement here are aligned with I don't think all the interests are aligned here. And then I also want to point out a few factual errors in the town staff report. They say this is again where the confusion comes with they're not understanding real property versus personal property. They're saying the site was sold. Rick sold the site. Rick did not sell the site. The pad site is one pad site of 32 pads on the mobile home park, all in one parcel. This is not an individual site. It's personal property. They pay the taxes like they would on a vehicle. There's personal property taxes paid annually. There's no real property taxes. This is not real property. Rick sold a personal property home that's located on one pad site in the mobile home park. Paul and Kim do not own the site. The park owns the site. That is our site. We owned all the land. They rent the land. They rent the lot that it sits on. So, and I just got a letter in today from Nick, who's the lawyer for representing for the town. And he also, I mean, he's mentioned there's a bunch of inaccuracies in there, and it still goes back to that confusion that they're not understanding. This is not real property. This is personal property that they're dictating, trying to use a CUP to provide distinction of what can be done with real property. So again, the misinterpretation I feel here is the CUP conditions, CUPs apply to the zoning use of a parcel, right? So the parcel is the mobile home park. But then in CUP condition 7, they're drilling it down more narrowly to say this particular site must be the owner's residence. So now we've drilled it down narrowly to one site. It's clearly unclear that does that site mean now are we talking about the site owner? Are we talking about the park owner? The CUP does not anywhere state mobile home park owner. It doesn't say parcel owner. Doesn't say Rick Dubois. It doesn't say anything that any higher level board is going to say, hey, look, oh yeah, this clearly is the mobile home park owner. It's clearly ambiguous. When the cup conditions are not clear, when it's ambiguous, cup conditions cannot be enforced based on, it has to be, sorry, ambiguous or implied conditions can't be enforced. And again, I'm almost ready to wrap up. I think I'll hopefully have another time to talk and answer questions or give any additional feedback. But the town is also saying there's been repeated and continuous material violations. So please point on file where there's one instance of any violation being issued. There haven't. This has been sold over a year ago. There hasn't been one single issued violation. You can't reference multiple repeated violations when not one single violation has been issued. So to just summarize, I think the interpretation and the understanding of the town, I mean, I do this every day. All I do is mobile home parks. We have lawyers that do the zoning. We get zoning letters from the county. I'm very familiar with zoning, Wisconsin law, and there's multiple laws, Wisconsin laws being violated by the cup condition as it currently exists. So unclear cup conditions, it's ambiguous, which means it should side in favor of the applicant, not the town. The real victims here, at the end of the day, if we go for all the, let's ignore all this, he said, she said on the cup, this is the intention. It's not. Kim and Paul are the victims here, not the park owner, not Rick DuBois. They're the ones that are going to, I mean, I still don't even understand how if this is enforced, what I'm supposed to do on my end to come into compliance. That still hasn't been told to me. I mean, as it stands now, that should be their house. That shouldn't be their house. So what grounds do I have to get them out of that house when they have a lease, they've been paying lot rent, even though the town has told them they shouldn't be, which is very bad information to give them. I mean, that would lead to immediate eviction of them. They lose their home possibly. But at the end of the day, they're the victims here. If the town and the county rules to uphold the town's decision, they're the victims, not me. So not the park owner. And I'm just one member in a multi-member LLC that owns the park. So now the park owner has to own that home. Does that mean Andy Freeman, the 4 or 5 other members of the multi-member LLC, we're all owners of that house? Now we all have free access to a vacation house in Danbury, Wisconsin. I mean, it's just unclear all around. And I think that's why the town's also requested more time, because they want to give them further explanation, because clearly as the cup is written, it's pretty black and white. It's a 1-sentence condition. Is it met or is it not met, right? But they want to tell the whole backstory and say, hey, Rick came and applied this. It doesn't matter the backstory. Any higher level court, Board of Appeal, higher level court is going to look at the condition as written. They're not going to go dig into the whole backstory. And that's why that's not how a cup works. So that's all I have for now. Our request today doesn't change the use of the property. It doesn't expand density. It doesn't impact the health or safety or well-being of anyone in the park. There's been 2 cups in the past that have expanded this park by many more units than one site. So I just think the whole bigger picture here is the town is upset they feel they were duped by the previous owner, who is long gone, has no impact. We stepped into this situation. This isn't something, we didn't sell the house. We purchased the park. Now we're left to deal with the blowback, as are Kim and Paul. So for these reasons, we respectfully request the board approve our submitted cup application and remove condition 7 in its entirety. Thank you for your time. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so you may respond to some other statements later, but for now, committee members have any questions of the applicant?
I have one.
Go ahead.
So it's day-to-day operation of the park. Who handles all that? Is the owners of that home that's on that lot, do they manage the park? Who manages it day to day?
No one in that park.
Okay, so there isn't like an
management.
office or a manager they go speak to or anything like that?
No, we have a manager that resides in another park
Okay,
that manages. We do offsite managing. Everything's mostly online.
So really
Payment online,
this-
automated.
this home and lot in question really has nothing to do with the management at all. It's truly just like any other lot you're figuring in the whole park, meaning that you own the property, but they own the home and they're paying lot rent, and I suppose water and sewer is part of that, right?
We provide the water and sewer, but yeah, you're correct. I mean, there's factually no difference at this lot than any other lot in the park.
Any further questions by the committee?
Yeah, I've got another one too.
Okay,
So if you feel you're in compliance right now with how it's written, why are you asking for the new cup? If you feel.
I was advised, yeah, I mean, I'm fighting on behalf of, because the applicant wants to get a garage. Right now, they don't have a garage. They have to go to cancer treatment, I think, every day, and they gotta scrape snow. They want a garage like all the other residents, and they can't do it based on they're getting resistance from the town. I also am here today because I was instructed by the Stephanie, the council, I believe to the county, that was the proper process. I mean, my initial, I mean, the second I've found out of this condition, how they're trying to enforce it, I went straight to my lawyer and I was ready to litigate it. They said, hey, let's calm down. They gave us a path. They said, do this. I was led to believe this would be a simple process to remove this condition, follow the cup. And I mean, I was immediately ready to litigate this. I mean, there's just so many violations. There's case law. There's violations of manufactured house law and the state. I mean, it would be, in my opinion, an easy victory at the higher level. So, but rather than do that, I was guided by counsel for Burnett County to get this. So that's why we're here today. I don't think we're in a violation. They're welcome to send us a violation, and we'll fight it that way. But that's why I'm here. I'm not here on my behalf. I'm here because Kim has been asking me and staying on me to help her get a garage. That's really the whole how we ended up here. The long story short is Kim's trying to get a garage. She's getting rejected. That's how this all got brought to light, that it was even sold. The town didn't even know Rick sold the house, but they were asking Kim to say, hey, bring us what title company did you go to? How did this happen? This never should have happened. They're not understanding a mobile home does not get sold through a title company. It's personal property. You sign a title and you send it to Madison. It's not done through a title company. So there's just so many misunderstandings of real and personal property here. So that's how this all came to light. It's because Kim wants her garage.
Okay, I got one other question.
Yeah.
So when it came to be that you and other investors came to buy this mobile home park, I mean, as part of that purchase agreement, did you guys review all the cups that are in place already? And was this an issue as part of the purchase that you guys spoke about? I mean, how did this transaction happen without the cup being considered?
Well, again, yeah, I mean, we were aware. I mean, there's so many cups. I was aware that there was possibly an issue, and we were ready to take it on if need be. I didn't think it would be as large of issue, just because it's clearly it's an ambiguous cup. The owner's residence, and at the end of the day, I keep asking, what's the enforcement? How do we come into compliance? And no, not one person's told me. What am I supposed to do with Kim and Paul? I mean, so what I would like to get clear, because if this doesn't go our way, I need to also know in the time while we appeal or do it, take it to the next level. What am I supposed to do with Kim and Paul who are sitting in there? Or do they get immediately thrown out? What's the timeline for me to evict them? No one's told me that. They just want to say you're in violation. We haven't received any written violation, and they haven't given us any path on actually how to become compliant. The cup. So and also in this letter, they're saying we're attempting to relitigate this cup. We're not. The cup process allows us to request modifications for the cup, and that's what we're doing. We're not relitigating or trying to go around this condition. We're just trying to make a more clear condition.
So did Kim and Paul, the people that own the home that's on the lot, did they purchase the home after you bought the court or before?
Before. No, they were already owning and paying lot rent. I mean, we didn't, that wasn't after us.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
I think we could get into this discussion later, but this came to light, I believe, over the garage permit request. Otherwise, how would you know?
Yep.
Okay, so but we want to get into that right now. Any further questions by other committee members? If not, I'm going to open a public hearing for those who wish to speak on this matter. And you were the owner of the property? Okay, go ahead, come forward, please. Identify yourself and then speak to it.
I am Kim Sabraka, and this is my husband, Paul. We're residents of Danbury. I've been coming up here my whole life. My sister and brother still live in Danbury. We moved up here to downsize our life from a 10-acre hobby farm. And it was just too much for me to take care of with my husband being sick. we bought our house from Rick Du Bois. He owned the park. And then around May, Andy Freeman took it over. Rick was already given permission one time to build a garage, but the pad is already there. It's 36 by 28. When I originally asked to build the garage, I wanted it 34 by 26. Because the pad was already there and it was bigger. So I just wanted a garage and I figured, well, this would be great because then I can put everything in there that I need. When Jason came out to look at my house or in my pad, he said, you can't build it this size, but if you want to build it 24 by 24, we could probably, get your permit tomorrow. Well, I held out like a ding dong because I just figured the pad was already there. And why not build it bigger if I can? So, kind of like long story short, I decided, well, winter's coming and Wisconsin winters are bad. And I just went and they kept calling me all summer, when do you want us to put it up? When do you want to put it up? And I said, well, the permit, I reapplied for the permit at 24 by 24. And then we went to the township meeting and that was denied. And like you said, it doesn't really have anything to do with the garage right now. It's a matter of owner occupied versus rental. We bought the house from Rick Du Bois. We live in the house and own the house, just like all the other 31 properties in there. And we rent and pay rent, which like everybody else does. So, I guess long story short, we were denied and we just basically were asking you what we need to do to get this permission to be put up, granted to be put a garage up by spring or in spring, because we went through American Steel and they won't be here after mid-December. I had already put $2,700 down on the garage, ordered it from Jansen and Webster, but the guy, Kevin, that owned it, retired. So now he used to give 75% back of your down payment. So I'm waiting on a phone call for 2 weeks now from him to see if he's gonna give me any of my money back that I lost when I put it down. So I could be out almost $3,000 for that. And when I asked him if they could cancel the garage, so I was supposed to put it up 2 weekends ago on a Friday. They were gonna deliver it Saturday, they were gonna build it. I had to call the next day, which was a Friday, and say, can't do this, gotta stop it. Because on the permit that I got from here, it said, applicant assumes risk of CUP amendment if it's denied. So I didn't want to have to pay for the garage once they put it up and then be fined and be made to take it down. So then I'd be out all that money. So now I'm just asking for a garage and I didn't know it had to do with all this. And Andy bought the park. He wasn't probably aware of it all got stirred up because I asked for a garage. I didn't think it was gonna be that complicated. So we're just asking what we need to do to be able to build a garage. Thank you.
Any questions by committee members?
Yeah, what was the reason for denial from the town? What do you
Because-
know that you-
Because it said owner occupied, not rental property. But like I said, we own the house, like everybody else in the park, they own their own house and they all rent. And there's a question of like, are you part of the park? Are you not part of the park? But I pay rent like everybody else. I have since I bought the house from Rick Du Bois.
That is the rub, really, is the town believes that was a violation of the condition because only an owner of the park was supposed to occupy that additional unit that was added to the park.
In this thing that was highlighted for me. It says Oakland Town Board would like to include an additional stipulation that proposed personal dwelling to be built on 2 remaining sites will be owner's residence only, not resident property. But it doesn't say park owner, it just says owner's residence. When I came into this, I saw a for sale sign, bought the house, Rick owned the park. Who am I to question somebody who's been selling manufactured homes for 30 years? Are you doing this legal? Are you doing this the right way? We just wanted to buy a house and live in Wisconsin. And silly me, should have bought a house with the garage already, but I didn't, and everything always has to be the hard way.
No,
So,
you're a victim, not a
yeah, I mean,
perpetrator. I get that. Go ahead. Lou.
I don't know if I have a question for Kim, but I want to understand something a little better here. All the residences pay rent, but a lot of them have garages, and this would be a garage too. How does the taxation work with that? Do they actually pay personal property tax to the township, and then the garages are actually structures?
Yes, I believe that would be right. It's not personal property as campers are, which are exempt from tax. It's manufactured home community improvements do pay taxes to the town. Yes.
So if this garage is built 24 by 24, or if it's allowed to be bigger or what have you, the taxation would be relative to that, right?
Yeah, the history of the park was originally it was a park with just sheds, and then that was amended back in, I think, 99. And allowed to be up to 24. Again, managing a park is sort of different than a subdivision. It's everybody's kind of the same.
Yeah.
Right? And then this was for the owner, and so that the owner was as an owner's residence, quote marks, it might be privileged beyond the rest of the park because they live there all the time.
Okay.
That's kind of the thought
I
of
mean, it's a fixed structure, though. I'm just kind of thinking, well, isn't that
Yeah.
part of the property then? The real
Yeah,
property?
so when I look at their tax bill, so on the real estate, the improved value of that parcel is 162,000. So I'm assuming that is 31 garages. Because I think every one of them, except this site, has a 24 by
So the
24
park owner
garage.
should be paying the taxes on the garages, but
Yeah.
not the homes?
They probably build that into their rent, I'm guessing, is what he's paying his property taxes, building it into the rent.
So Kim isn't gonna own the garage. When it's all said and done, she's paying for the garage, but it's actually taxed to the owner of the park?
This is all not, this is all not
It's
accurate.
rent.
This is not accurate what's being said.
It's not accurate what's being said?
Mobile homes in Wisconsin are personal property unless they're on their own parcel and affixed to they're a permanent structure in their own parcel. This is all personal property. We collect the municipal tax from each resident each month and remit it to the town. It's not assessed on our tax bill. Our tax bill is for the land and improvement. It doesn't count their garage and their home. That's personal property.
What's the improvement that you're being taxed 162,000 for?
There's all kinds of improvements on mobile home park. There's water lines, sewer lines, roads, all the
Okay,
infrastructure.
I'm not the assessor, so I'm just asking.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just they're telling me it's not accurate what they were saying. Yeah, it's the improvements are the infrastructure, roads. I mean, there's not a whole lot in mobile home parks, but yeah, it's not garages and mobile homes. Those are personal property.
So, and correct me, but then the people who reside in the mobile home parks, manufactured homes are taxed and is charged to them then?
Well, no, what I was saying is, so Wisconsin's a little funky. So in every other state that we operate, they pay their personal property tax to the assessor each year, right? Or each year, like a tax bill for a motor vehicle. Same thing. Like they're paying the DMV. In Wisconsin, the park owner's responsibility is called a parking tax or a municipal fee. The owner, it's calculated based on the treasurer on the age of the home. Like it's same thing with the car. An older home has a lower value. So Kim and some of the homes in this Wildwood Estates are very nice. They have, they pay $40 to $50 a month for their municipal tax. The park collects it from the resident and remits it to the town treasurer. We collect it. They give us like a 2% collection fee. In Wisconsin, it's the only state that I know that does this, where the park owner is responsible for collecting. It's technically their version of personal property tax, but it's called a parking tax or a municipal parking fee. And that's collected by the park and remitted to the city. And we do the same thing for Kim. I think she pays $40, $50. It's exactly the same treatment as all other homes in the park. So They're not paying it, they are paying it directly, but they're not writing the check. It's passing through the park and the park is paying it on their behalf.
That
Go ahead.
raises another question for me. So if the improvements are $162,000, and from what you're saying, that's blacktop, sewer, water, infrastructure. Now, when the house was owned by the actual park owner, those improvements would have been that house. So I mean, has it been reassessed and all redid since this Rick Dubois owned it? I mean, are them improvements
That's-
truly their house? I mean, has it been reassessed or is it still a
You know
mess?
what, I don't, that doesn't make sense. I'm not understanding that question.
2026 Oakland will be reassessed.
Okay, so the $162,000 might be their house. Because they're probably assumed that it was owned by the real property owner at the time.
That's,
That's a good question because it wasn't-
100%
it wasn't-
disagree with that.
The
Okay.
question would be, was that treated as another unit within the manufactured home
At that time.
community versus
Okay,
ownership on the property? I mean, it's a
Yeah.
great question without an answer
yeah, I can buy the $162,000 on the
on the house.
blacktop and the,
Oh, sure.
all that stuff.
Yeah,
So I
the,
mean,
the,
you
the
know,
well, the
that makes sense.
private sewage system, the other improvements are assessed always, as they are in the campground too. But then in the campground, campers are not
Okay.
assessed, but dwellings in a manufactured home. He's explained that better. It's a parking tax, but there is a revenue to the town, which was your original question.
Right, I don't have any other
Okay.
questions.
Moving on, any further questions for these folks who are, you know, actually partly applicants, I think, as well? Okay, we're gonna continue with the public hearing. You wanna go back to your seat?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, continuing the public hearing. Don Hamilton is coming up. So identify yourself for the record. Are you testifying as the town official?
Correct. Good morning. My name is Don Hamilton. I represent the town of Oakland. I currently sit and serve in the supervisor one position for the town of Oakland. So first off, I'd like to correct some of the things that were stated about the town. The town does not object to a garage. The garage is not the issue. We have gotten off track. This is not the parcel owner. The CUP applies to the parcel owner, the property. The CUP applies to the property owner. So all of this convolution and attempt to create a smokescreen about who the owner is that says the owner's residence, and just because I own the manufactured home, I'm compliant with the CUP. Your question was quite accurate. If they felt they were in compliance with the current CUP, why did they apply to get this condition removed? In short, I do want to correct the one word in the town's council where it said, on the second page, notes various material violations of conditional use 2119, including the sale of the additionally authorized site. I don't know if he got that from the staff report, but the town's objection is that CUP 2119 does not allow a 30-second site to be rented. CUP 2119, the ask was to expand the mobile home park from 31 to 32 sites, and the town of Oakland and this committee rejected that. The backstory is important. Historically, the mobile home park was owned by Mr. Rick Dubois, 26 acres. He bought the hunting land north of the park, west of the golf course, and he wanted to expand the park. He had 26 acres there. However, the Burnett County Comprehensive Land Use Plan and the Town of Oakland Land Use Plan did not support expanding the mobile home park, the manufactured home park. And that's when Mr. Dubois said, well, what I really want is a hunting cabin. And we said, we have no objections to that. You own the land to the north. Why don't you subdivide that little piece where that manufactured home sits? Why don't you subdivide it, put it with the hunting land and build your home? And he said to us, why do you guys want to make me spend all that money and hire a surveyor? I own the park. I own the hunting land. It's all mine. I'm here for the long haul. So what did the town do? We believed him and we went above and beyond to get the applicant what he said he desired, and that was a hunting cabin to be the owner's residence. And if you listen to the hearing, it was very clear it was the park owner's residence. The cup doesn't apply to this lady, it applies to the parcel owner. So to call the owner, whoever is living there, is factually incorrect, in my opinion. So we got him through condition 7, which was the core requirement to get that cup approved. So to remove that is relitigating the ask. He is asking to relitigate Cup 2119 and growing the park from 31 to 32 sites. This is about money. This is about lot rent. The town did not say this woman should not be paying lot rent. That is incorrect. What the town asked is, on what authority does this mobile home park owner have to rent out 32 sites? And I would argue he does not. He does not have that authority to rent out 32 sites. That is clear. It's in the cup. And the town respectfully requests that you reject this applicant's request to remove condition 7. And I would amend, the only amendment I would make to Cup 2119 would be to allow a 24 by 24 garage to be built on that 32nd site. I do not believe, and if Mr. Freeman is as genuine as he says he is, this victim should not be required to pay lot rent. There is no authority to charge her that. And to undo Cup 2119 by removing that condition, I believe sets a bad precedent for the partnership and the dedication to complying with our land use plans that the town of Oakland, this committee, and Burnett County have worked very hard to achieve. And why is one site important? Well, let me tell you that in 2018, when the town of Oakland began redoing our 10-year update to our comprehensive land use plan, the #1 issue was expanding campgrounds and mobile home parks. How many of you are aware that the town of Oakland has more campgrounds and manufactured home parks than any other town in this county? We have triple the combined number of campgrounds and mobile home manufactured home sites than 19 other townships. This room has a carrying capacity. You can only put in 60 people. The town of Oakland has exceeded its carrying capacity for manufactured home parks and campgrounds. That is why we objected to the expansion of one site. And is that a legitimate ask? Back when municipalities could put things on the ballot, the town of Oakland went to the voters. And prior to this cup, and this is why we were so adamant about finding a solution that would work for everyone, the town of Oakland asked its voters, should the town of Oakland support expanded campgrounds and mobile home parks? 83% of the people who elected us to serve said no expansions, no new campgrounds and manufactured home parks, and no expansions. Ladies and gentlemen, what referendum question gets 83% support? Very few, I would offer. 83%. That is why the town objects to this being relitigated. You can call it a new ask, but it's basically been reverse engineered. The owner of the park, the previous owner of the park, sold a 32 site manufactured home community to Mr. Freeman, who is also a victim, in my opinion. I don't think it was right that this wasn't disclosed, and maybe he did not do his due diligence and review all the cups. Certainly, Mr. Bracchia has told us that they did not do their due diligence when they did a cash transaction. You can buy tennis shoes, you can sell a manufactured home park. The town has no issue and no vote in who or what sells anything. But we do believe Cup 2119, the deal was done, it was a fair deal, and it should be upheld. And the only amendment that the town respectfully requests be made to this cup would be to allow the 32nd site to build a 24 by 24 garage like everybody else. He has no authority to evict her. He has no authority to charge her lot rent, in my opinion. And maybe his attorneys and her attorneys, that's where the remedy is. not in this room. In my opinion. The remedy on lot rent is theirs, but again, that it would be the town's position. I'd like to thank you for your time and I'm available for questions.
Now, a question I would have about this is pertaining to the real estate disclosure law, which is not gonna be a way to solve this, because the remedy is for the person aggrieved to get all their money back, and the transaction is canceled. That doesn't help anybody here, unfortunately.
I would agree, Mr. Chair, and I think the unfortunate thing is I don't know if that disclosure applies to, unfortunately, manufactured home sites. Here's the purchase agreement from Mr. Du Bois to Ms. Sabrakia, where he stated in there, if you want to talk about open and unapologetic violation of condition 7, he told this unsuspecting person that you are in a manufactured home park and you will be required to pay lot rent. And that was condition 7. When Mr. Du Bois came back in 2217, he said, well, you won't let me expand the mobile home park. I want to subdivide 12 acres out of the manufactured home park and include it in a hunting land. It would make it more valuable. And we said to him at the time, subdivide it. That would protect from the next owner from expanding the manufactured home park. And we said to him, why don't you carve out that owner's residence and put it with the hunting land? Oh God, the line's so straight, and why would I pay that extra money for stakes? And so this is where the town does believe we were duped, unfortunately. We do take people at their word, but it is clear that 2119 required a map of the park. It required an inventory of all the structures. The inventory of the structures is still not done. That has not been submitted by the previous nor the current park owner. So there are open violations. The fact that they're charging rent in the past, they're charging rent today, and they're quite fixed in charging rent in the future, it is a violation of condition 7. So that is where we are at. And we would, again, respectfully request that this be, the only amendment be made to, but would be to allow this person to build a garage. We don't have a horse in that race, but we don't believe he has the authority to rent out that site. I think that's clear. I think the courts would uphold that. So again, thank you for your time.
Any further discussion? Anyone who hasn't spoken yet? Steve Pearson, come forward.
Well, I'm confused now and don't start your clock yet. So I wouldn't blame you if you are. I'm Steve Pearson, Danbury, Wisconsin. First of all, as you've heard, this is a complicated cup request. Calls for deleting the condition of a previous cup to bring it in line with the present reality. And that's a controversial idea, one that I'm generally opposed to. Previous cups pertaining to Yellow Lake Manufactured Home Park go all the way back to 1998 when it was created. One of these, Cup 2119, is pertinent here today, specifically condition 7, which we've talked about. The Land Use Planning Committee, an appointed advisory body for Oakland Township, of which I am the chair, voted 3-0 actually to approve the cup after hearing most of what you've heard here today. As you know, the town board voted to rescind or to deny the cup. Mr. Hamilton has done a great job of explaining the basis for the town's vote. I have nothing but respect for the town board. I've known all these guys a long time. They are basically, they're using our comprehensive plan and the history of the cups here to make a decision. And I believe that they came to the right decision given the facts that they were presented with. But I wanted to let you know how the Land Use Planning Committee came to a slightly different conclusion, leading to the recommendation to approve the cup. After hearing from Kim and Paul, who own the house on the property in question, we realized, as people have said here today, that the real culprit is Rick Du Bois. He owned the park when he sold the park But when he sold the house to Sabrakas in December of 2024, he did not inform them of the condition of Cup 2119 that stipulated that the house, the one that they bought, could only be occupied by the park owner and that the rent could not be collected from the site it sits on. Mr. Du Bois sold the park to Andrew Freeman in May of this year and exited the scene. Sifting through this, as you now know, we concluded that the Sabrakas were the victims here. I think everybody agrees with that from what I've heard here today. The house is there. Nothing that we do today will change that fact, and Sabrakas are in possession of a warranty deed for that house. Our recommendation for approval was based partly on these facts, also weighing the hardship which would be experienced by these elderly folks if they have to hire a lawyer and go to court and try to resolve this matter, while Mr. Sabraka is facing a serious health challenge and his wife is caring for him. In addition, they did indicate a willingness to drop the size from 28 by 36 to 24 by 24. I just want to say one final quick thing.
Oh, go ahead. You're representing a governmental body. Go ahead.
You can argue over what the word owner means in that condition. I was on the land use planning committee at the time that we addressed that, and we definitely meant the owner of the park. I guess we should have included the words of the park to make that clearer. But I would say to Mr. Freeman, if you're being upfront and honest here, Mr. Freeman, and you're saying that that's ambiguous, there is no ambiguity in the fact that you cannot collect rent on that site, yet you have continually done so since taking over the ownership of the park. So if you want to contest the ambiguity of the word owner, you also have to be frank about the fact that there is no ambiguity whatsoever in the idea that you shouldn't be collecting rent on that site. At any rate, I hope this is resolved in a way that doesn't require these folks to pull up stakes and leave. Obviously, that would be a horrible outcome for them. I also hope it's resolved in a way that takes into consideration the factors that Mr. Hamilton brought up. There's always concern when you're possibly setting precedents here. And as I said, removing a condition from a previous cup is precedent setting, I guess, in this regard. Finally, our 3-0 vote to approve included the condition that all violations of previous cups needed to be corrected within 90 days of approval at the county level. And that failure to provide documentation of having done so would prohibit the owner of the park, Andrew Freeman, from collecting any further rent on any property in the park. This is always an ongoing concern with these cups, is how are the conditions enforced? And I know Mr. Town is a busy man and his office is understaffed and they don't have time to be keeping track of every single cup and going out and enforcing the provisions. But this is an opportunity to inject an enforcement provision if you choose to do so today. The violations are not serious ones as pertains to this particular property, but there are violations that need to be corrected. So thanks so much for listening, and good luck.
You said Mr. Pearson was representing a government body. Is he also a town supervisor?
He's the chair of their planning committee,
Okay,
of the Oakland Planning Committee. They have a formal seated land
okay,
use or comprehensive plan and planning commission type of thing. Like you see.
Advisory committee.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, all towns do, so.
Yeah, because it was more than just a citizen, if you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to recognize that other units of government may have a little more to say, and they need to get the opportunity to do that. So anybody else further here on the public hearing? The hearing none, I will close the public hearing and throw this thing out to this committee. Go ahead.
I guess a question I have, being that condition 7 does say not rental property, are there other resolutions? Like, is the property deeded to them, so it's no longer rental? I mean, is there some?
They'd have to survey it, and separate it, you know, something that's popped into my mind is a bit of equity here. They're paying rent right now to the manufactured home community, which covers the cost of utilities and, or maybe not power, I don't know that, but sewer and water, you know, maybe a resolution of, to provide a little bit of equity to the guy who bought it from Du Bois also was flickered a little because he wasn't disclosed this. But maybe if they worked out an arrangement to pay for their sewer and water to offset that value, but not paid rent, it would be, you know, because I don't think any of us here, the town, the committee, for the plan commission, us, wanna harm the people who bought the property in good faith, right? But that would provide offset the cost of providing the service. And he wouldn't gain from the lot fee, but that maybe, that's the pig in the poke that Mr. Freeman bought. The person that created the problem is Du Bois, but we can't do anything about him, really, right? That's just a thought on my part. Any,
Yeah, just a few comments. One, if I look at the notes from the August 3rd, 2021, or the minutes from the 2021, dated August 3rd, 2021, it states in here that what 2119 was supposed to do was increase the size of the manufactured home community from 31 to 32 sites. Below, Rick Du Bois spoke, stating that he would like to add one site to their manufactured home site. This would include the manufactured home and the garage. So the parcel we're talking about, because CUP 2119 was granted, is now part of the park. So it is part of the park, and it also stated that the owner's residence, that parcel was supposed to be for the owner's residence and not rental property. To me, it implies owner of the park, but the situation we have now is the park was sold and there is no owner living there. Logically, to me, the best thing to do is get rid of item number 7 and let them build a garage and make it part of the park.
we can let them build a garage. That's not a problem.
But now you got the rent issue.
Right,
So
that's,
if we assume that parcel is part of the park, it should be rented. It should be rented.
no, it was part of the park, but occupied, it was never gonna be rent charged because it was occupied by the owner of the park.
The owner's gone.
And now the owner doesn't use it for that, so, but someone else owns the dwelling on the site. That's the rub. I
Right.
see.
So,
And the conditional use goes with the property.
I mean, I get the notion of let's not throw up our hands and say we have to change the conditional use permit restriction because somehow somebody got conned, you know, including us a little, maybe. But I'd like to maintain the integrity of the permit, you know, at the same time.
well, and at the same time, you know, to Don's argument about expansion, this is an expansion. It's there. We made it part of the park. It wasn't a rental lot, but it's part of the park. You're not expanding it. Might as well let them rent it out and make everybody happy and build a garage.
Well,
If I remember right, what happened was he wanted to build that, but the town did not want to expand the park. So what he conveyed to us was that he was going to build a residence for himself to use as a hunting lodge for that 30-40 acres that are north of the golf course there. And that's why that provision came in that said, all right, but then you can't charge, it won't be rental property. My understanding, it was a separate lot and not a lot of the mobile home park, manufactured mobile home park.
right, he said, but he didn't create a surveyed separate parcel.
Yep, he just used that other parcel and put a residence on there for himself
Mhm.
to use when he went up there to go hunting.
Yeah, and typically in a manufactured home community, there's a manager, Supervisor Tucker raised a manager in residence on a parcel that could even be a conventional dwelling back in the days of single wide manufactured homes or mobile homes, right? That was pretty normal, and so that's no reason not to believe that that was his intent by us and the town. But when the time came, he decided the hunting land thing wasn't going anymore, and he sold that and sold the dwelling then. But with this, contract that we just got us,
My understanding
it
was
moved.
that he sold the parcel and the residence.
Yeah, well, there wasn't a separate parcel ever though. It was just another site
I
within
don't
the,
think it was a site.
oh, it isn't, I don't think
It was
there's,
outside, I think it was outside the park, wasn't it? No.
but yeah, question for,
It's on the manufactured home park parcel.
it's
Okay.
within the manufactured home park
So then
parcel.
it was just another site.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, Supervisor Tucker.
I tend to agree with Randy on this. I like to side with the townships on most everything because they're closest to people that elect them, but in this case, I mean, when you talk about an office being had at mobile home parks, that's very traditional, that's done. But nowadays with technology the way it is, I mean, if the sewer's backed up, you text somebody, they call a contractor, they go fix it. You probably don't need to knock on a door anymore to go and rattle the office manager's cage to fix things. But I guess for me, I'd probably want to remove condition 7, and I'd probably allow for a little bit bigger garage as well. But at the same time, I don't like it when people don't honor the cup. They may have some legal action that might happen on that side that don't include us. But I guess for me, that's their business. But for me, I guess at this point, I'd favor removing number 7 and allowing for a little bigger garage. And make sure it's taxed appropriately though for the town.
To me, it seems like the issue is not so much, I mean, it sounds like from the meeting minutes, it is part of the parcel. It's just that it can't be rented. And I don't know that we can speak to just saying they can't charge rent. I mean, that's kind of what they agreed to, is that we're not going to rent that property.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the other side of the coin is I could also read this to say the expansion site will be the owner's residence and therefore not rental property. If it's not the owner's residence, you can therefore rent it. It is no longer the owner's residence. So you could argue that both ways.
What prevents the owner of the property right now saying, you know what, we won't charge you rent for the lot, but we're gonna charge you for the sewer and water? I mean, they could do that.
Yeah,
So I mean, there's ways to get around that probably legally anyway. So
I think that's what the Oakland Township's saying too.
if that were the case, we would not have to reverse Act 7, just say, work it out, but you can't, that's not a chargeable site.
Yeah.
And you work out sewer and water, fine with us, right?
If you want to charge them for sewer and water, fine, you're not gonna charge them rent.
Right.
Good solution.
I understand that, but there's also taxation ramifications of that, because if that entity is collecting the taxes, then how is it taxed if they can't collect? And that's not necessarily our problem to deal with.
I think that's a recognition of the fact that it was added to the manufactured home community. It is 32 sites. That part is not really in debate. It's just how is it supposed to be operated, right? So obviously they've been collecting the parking fee or whatever the owner Colonel explained to us. That's been collected. That would have to be the case anyway, because it's not on a separate fee owned parcel.
I'm pretty sure this is right from knowing a individual that owns a mobile home park, but when he makes changes to lots that he has, he contacts the township assessor directly to make those changes. Like, I don't know if it's every quarter or something, but it's fairly regular.
Mm.
So I mean, I think that's kind of on the owner to contact the assessor for any changes that are made. It's a different arrangement than say me owning property and be assessment. When it's a trailer mobile home park, it's done differently.
But if legally it's part of the, if it was indeed a 30-second added site, and is subject to the parking tax.
Yes.
That's where it gets confusing
Yep.
if you can't charge
I
rent
mean,
on
it always was subject to the parking tax. The question,
who's paying the parking tax.
are
Parking.
the owners of the home through the collection by the unit, none of that changed. That was always presumed to be the case. Even when Du Bois was still using it as his, recreational cabin. But he wasn't charging himself rent. That was the point.
So I guess what I'm hearing is we can deny this cup with the idea that the town would grant the permit for the garage. And with the idea that the management company would not be charging rent for the property, but may charge rent for sewer and water.
May charge appropriate fees for sewer and water. Yeah, that would work. That would sort of be the solemn and right decision of splitting,
But in the end, it's the same thing as getting rid of 7.
pardon?
In the end, it's the same thing as getting rid of 7 altogether.
The only difference is a distinction without a difference, right? You know what I mean by this? The only difference is we're not letting Du Bois get away with violating his permit because we're holding the permit's integrity, but we're allowing them to operate the way they've been operating. And I hate to see him get away with it, and it's not the applicant, nor is it these people.
Well, the concrete slab, does that require a permit?
Well, it probably should have, but it,
He was granted a permit to build a garage because Rick applied for a permit to build a garage and that he was still the unit owner, so we allowed the permit. He only poured the slab, never built a garage, and then that expired. And then they came in, applied for a permit for the garage, and I went, this is supposed to be Rick's site. No, we own it. Well, that's
Yeah, okay.
not how it was supposed to be happening, so.
Yeah, and so he was able to put a bigger garage in from everybody else, cause it's what stipulation
'Cause it was a-
24 by 24.
It was a
for
private site.
Yep.
Not part of the park, so I wasn't holding, cause the CUP, the prior, or CUP a few back ago said every site could have up to a 24 by 24 garage.
okay,
So I wasn't treating his site as part of the park.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you now. If
Right.
we've decided that this is a private, it's the same status as Du Bois site because it's not being charged fees as part of the park. It's a separate codicil to pay sewer and water. Okay, so why can't they build a bigger garage too under this?
Wait,
Well, it
I
looks
mean, the
like
slab is there.
It was approved already.
Yeah,
But it was approved when Rick owned it.
I understand,
Yeah.
but and it's owned now by the park. But I'm just saying, just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Go ahead, we'll let you in.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For clarification, the town supported the larger garage, the manufactured home community. The current cup allows 24 by 24. But because it was the owner's residence and he assured us that he was a hunter and he was gonna be there and engaged, he was gonna be present, he was gonna be an active manager, that he wanted a bigger garage because he had a UTV and a car and a truck. And the town supported that effort to allow that larger garage because again, it was the owner's residence. The town had no issue with that. That's the only issue with the garage, but if they want to build a 24 by 24 like everybody else and the committee agrees to that, the town has no objection.
That requires
Bigger
no,
garage for the size of the slab.
that requires no additional approval for the 24 by, that's just automatic, they get that.
Yeah.
And the only,
Can I? Oh,
so
sorry.
And we already issued a permit though for a bigger garage at one point.
but it expired, yeah.
Expired.
Andy wants to say
Right,
something.
but
Yeah, I want to say something. You said you were fine with them building a 24 by 24, but then that's implying that you're fine with Kim and Paul staying. Them is not me building the garage, it's Kim and Paul. So that implies you're fine with them staying there. But I guess the one thing I wanted to, this thing about us not being able to charge lot rent, I think there's also some confusion based on Wisconsin law and the definitions of rental property versus renting of a pad site. This is not rental property under definition of Wisconsin law. We're not renting the structure. We're renting the pad site. Those are two clearly different things. So based on what the cup says, even if it says it was the owner's residents, it's not rental property. This is not rental property under Wisconsin law. We're renting a pad site in a mobile home park, and it's one of 32 pad sites in the park. So I don't see how there could be any way to say, hey, we cannot rent this pad site. Like you said, that could be up for Kim and us to discuss, but I don't see how there could be any rules or imposed by the board or the town or the county as far as renting a pad site where it's not rental property. And I think you
I
need
see how
to,
we could do that. I could see how we could do that because we only approved 31 rental pad sites and gave them an exemption for the 32nd. And we could maintain that exemption if we deny this. So that's what I think we can do it.
okay. I mean, the sites, like you said, someone, I forget who else said this, but I mean, the sites are already there, and it's clear from all these backstories. I mean, it's at the end of the day, several people were
Don't
duped.
dispute that the sites are already there.
Yeah,
And we
but-
agreed
but-
with the 32nd site,
Yeah.
but we still have that codicil that it was not to be a rentable pad site. So if we deny
But
this,
again,
that's the status.
it doesn't say rentable pad site. It says rental property. It's not
All
rental
right,
property.
we're done, we're done. I'm just telling you what I think.
Okay.
You told us what you think, we're good. So, anyway. So are we ready to try to make a motion on this? Go ahead, Karen.
Is this one where we want legal counsel? Because even if we agree with the intent, you know, if there ends up being a lawsuit, is it winnable based on this?
Stefan just loves this kind of question.
But I'm just throwing that out there.
And I'm asking from a legal opinion that you're gonna be stuck to today, but, do you have any thoughts you want to share?
I suppose with any, this should be treated like any other cup application and cup modification and sticking to the standards of approval or denial would be important and what protects the integrity of the decision.
Yeah, we're trying to, what we're trying to do here, I'm gonna hypothesize that if we make a motion that says we're denying this, removal of the condition because we think the condition is valid, but we also recognize the change of ownership of both the personal property and of the manufactured home community itself has created a circumstance we want to address, that we stipulate that they can't charge rent on the site, but may charge fees for sewer and water infrastructure, and that they can continue to, they own the property, they can continue to occupy the site. You know, if we did something to that effect, would you think that would be safe?
I'm not sure.
Would you be happier if you researched that and we postponed a decision on this until next month?
I'd be happier with that.
It's a committee.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm uncomfortable with taking out number 7, because I think it would be setting a precedence for other cups to come in and say, hey, you know, we decided we don't want to do this anymore. Let's just take it out of my cup so I don't have to worry about it. I'm in favor of somehow modifying this cup so that they get their garage and they get to stay living there. But I really think we'd be setting a precedence by removing something from a cup that was already.
Right. See, and I don't want unintended consequences of us simply denying this, to deny nothing further. Because then we endanger both the people living there and to a certain extent the new owner. You know, we're trying to not do that either. So.
I'd like to make a motion that we postpone the decision on this pending an opinion from legal counsel or corporate counsel.
Could you expand on that, on what you want corporate counsel to address? Or also in some of that, that we allow the current campground owner to charge for sewer and water infrastructure, but not rent for the site. And I think that's all you need on it.
We should also be asking for our opinion on removal of 7 as well. I mean, how does it look legally? I mean, aside from precedents and all that, we should look at that from a legal perspective too.
Look at unintended consequences of a blanket removal.
Yeah.
Okay. Here.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, do you have the motion? Is to postpone pending court counsel review to see if we may actually deny the request to remove the condition number 7, but allow the owner of the dwelling to remain there and pay sewer and water charges to the campground for infrastructure. And other infrastructure necessary. And to also look at the effect of a potential removal of condition number 7.
Still in the discussion phase.
Sure.
I'd like to know if Brent has any thoughts to share, and everybody else has spoke, but Brent hasn't said anything. I'm just kind of wondering what Brent's had on, if you're here to share.
Yeah, I have great respect for corporate counsel, and I would like to see this postponed. Just a clean postponement without any strings attached or whatever, and she can sift through all of the information and the law and provide guidance to us.
That's always a smart thing to do. Right?
Yep, for sure.
Thank you, Brent.
We have a motion and a second, or is the motion clear?
So what exactly is the motion?
I'll try it again.
I have motion to postpone conditional use permit 25-19. Pending a review from corporate counsel to allow the campground.
Manufactured home park, not campground.
Oh, sorry, campground. To allow the manufactured home park to have the personal property owner to pay for sewer, water and infrastructure. And to also find out what the effects of the consequences of removal of number 7.
Do we have to have all of that extra language? Can we just have the
rental?
Because it was like not paying rent.
Not paying
rent, but
I think we
cost.
need to know if we can make that as a condition that would hold up under the rules of that are being kind of explained by the current owner, that we don't have the authority to do that. I think we need to know if we can or can't.
but we're not imposing a change on the owner charging rent or whatever.
Well, no, we are. We're saying he can't charge the pad fee or the rental fee, but he can charge for sewer and water that he's providing to the parcel, or the site, site.
I would question, Don, with this proposal, with this postponement, are you gonna postpone the garage building permit?
Well, they're not holding that.
We don't have a horse in that race, that's zoning, so it was the current the land use permit was pending removal of condition 7. So if that's postponed, then the permit would automatically be postponed by zoning.
That's
As
correct,
I understand it.
Jason?
Yep. Well, yeah, we issued the permit, but we put a caveat on there that said this is owner responsible for any outcome of this CUP review. So, because if this committee came back and said, nope, we're denying the request, well, then now the garage has to go away. So they aren't gonna build it, I'm assuming, until they get a final answer. So we're
Right.
just kind of sitting in the holding pattern. Yep.
So is there a way for us to modify this today so that the permit goes through?
Well, we're gonna be able to build a garage anymore this year, right? Anyway,
But if it's a 24 by 24, what in number 7 stops us from giving them a permit for a 24 by 24 garage?
Well, it's not the owner's spot. The owner of the manufacturer.
Everybody in there's got a 24 by 24.
Yeah.
So what difference does it make if it's the owners or not?
And if they wanna take that risk, that's why I issued the permit, but I said if there's any consequences of this action today, they're gonna have to deal with it.
Right.
So the county wasn't gonna take that responsibility on. So I don't know what this committee might decide or what they're gonna do. Maybe the committee said the whole, the site has to go away tomorrow. Well, you know, so I can't put the county on the line to say we're gonna issue the permit with no
I
caveats.
understand. It's just, we're postponing this and now these poor people can't build a damn garage by winter time.
No, well,
That's
but
not happening.
if I recall,
Yeah, it was happening because they had it scheduled before, for the next couple of weeks, because they leave town in the middle of December.
The kind of building they're talking about gets screwed right down to that slab. They get.
Exactly.
Could do one of those carport type garages.
Yeah, one of them metal frame ones.
Yep.
Americans still said they wouldn't be here after mid-December.
Right.
So if I went with them, but if I went with somebody else, I could possibly. Just,
It's not mid-December yet.
no, it's not mid-December yet, and they can do it in a day or two, so.
But it's December now and our next meeting's not till January.
Right, it's been pushed back. And pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and. No, you wanna push back again, so I'm just like, never get an answer.
We have a motion out there, I believe.
What kind of motion would our corporate counsel be comfortable with?
On the garage.
Because normally we just postpone until the next meeting that we are able to discuss and whatever, and I'm just wondering if there are implications of having restrictions or whatever on various parties.
well, I think that's what we're trying to determine is,
I'm assuming corp counsel isn't gonna give you a legal opinion on that without doing research on that as well.
right, and I think what we're corp council's listened to the whole discussion. And I think knows that we were looking at the option, the two options of a motion to deny the permit, but direct clarify what can be done there without, under the current status, or to simply remove the condition. That's the two questions we are looking at, I think.
Just a hypothetical question, if they went ahead and, since they almost have the permit,
They have a permit issued,
so they could go ahead and build it. And
but if
the
there's,
worst that could happen is they'd have to take it down.
correct.
Right,
So they could go ahead and build it,
I think the odds of that are low,
yes.
you know, looking at this committee, I don't think that we would, in any event, would make a decision that would require that. But, Jason correctly didn't issue it carte blanche either, couldn't. So,
I think all they're looking for is to keep the weather off, the nice winter weather we have here in Burnett County, off their cars and things, and have it easier to get around with Paul's condition and everything.
there's your
I
question.
asked, Jason also if I could do a carport just for winter to keep the snow off the car, but he said it's the same thing as a garage permit. So it's,
Might as well build a garage.
right,
Yeah.
so I mean, and then,
In the long run, it's a better buy to build a garage than,
yeah,
Have a
but I don't like. Who I went through when we already lost $3,000 because we canceled it, and then if they put it up in a day or two, then I have to pay for the garage. Which, like Jason said, it comes with stipulations. I may be fined, I may be made to take it down after I already paid for them to put it up and paid for the garage, so.
it's prudent to
Stupid.
not do something until you know you can, but
Right.
you know, that's all. So,
Well, lots of discussion, but it sure sounds like, I think if I owned it, I'd wanna sell them the property and then just rent them water access or something, but it's up to them to figure out. So
Yeah,
if we don't allow it to be rented, then.
Well, but it's not the rental, it's the owner's residence that's muddying the waters, and I don't like to take out stipulations either, but for me, times have changed, situation has changed. It makes the most sense just to get rid of stipulation number 7 and say, it doesn't need to be residence, and it can be rental property. You know, Du Bois that screwed this whole thing up. Like you say, there's nothing we can do about that.
Well, the motion to postpone is on the table and takes precedence over the motion to approve or deny. So
Again, what is the exact motion?
Okay, so the motion would be to postpone pending a review from corporate counsel and to allow the manufactured home park owner to have the personal property owners pay for sewer and water and not rental payment. Oh, and infrastructure. And to find out what the consequences of removal of item number 7 would be.
that's the assignment to corp counsel, nothing more.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with dictating that the owner of the property cannot charge rent.
No,
Then you want number 7 removed.
he knew that when he signed up, when he bought the place.
We
He
should
said
have,
it right there in
If it
there.
was disclosed.
couldn't have known. He apparently didn't know it, but wasn't aware of it. Let's put it that way.
Well, isn't the motion to have the corp counsel research that issue?
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
So if corp counsel says you can't do it under the law, then I guess it's
Then we
not
got
an
an
issue, right? I mean,
Yeah, we're looking if we can do
Looking
some
for-
accommodation here.
items on which you're supposed to research, I guess you're not saying that's how you're gonna vote. But again,
Well, I think that's accurate.
Is it possible? Can I amend my own emotion?
Sure.
Not emotion, motion. Can we just ask corporate counsel to give an opinion on the things we've discussed here? And those are some of the specifics, because those are really specific. Like, can we tell the owner he can charge rent? I mean, I think I'd just like an opinion from corporate counsel on the many options we've discussed and the legality or wise counsel on that.
That simplifies things, just to not be so specific, but to see if those elements we've considered could be done. They're on the record, and on the tape, repeated them a bunch of times. I guess, if you want to amend that, if Chuck would amend his second to clarify. If Aaron amends it to simplify the motion, just to make it generally all of these issues,
oh, instead of just.
to identify them specifically, you okay with seconding that?
I'll second that.
You amend your second, your motion's amended, okay, Duke?
Yeah, I think we're within our ability to be able to remove 7 without any legal ramifications. I'd like to see a motion to vote on Randy's suggestion first and then go to that one.
Well, but the
Yeah,
Robert rules don't go it that way.
that's fine. I mean, we can always vote no on that and then do it
I
again.
think what we could do is, we want to have pro council look at what our options are. That's what Karen has simplified her motion to be. And Chuck's amended that, so I'll call for a vote on that motion,
The motion to amend.
a motion to
The vote on the amendment.
postpone. And yeah, first we'll do the amended motion by Chuck. We don't need to do a roll call for that. I remember the motion by Karen as amended and Chuck's second amended are what we're voting on.
Yeah.
The simplified motion to research. So all in favor?
No.
Aye.
No.
How
This is
many,
the motion to amend.
the motion to amend
The motion.
the first previous motion to postpone?
Right.
Okay. We need to do a show of hands. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 3 to 4. So that's carried. Motion to postpone pending corp counsel's research.
Roll call.
Roll call vote on this one. Supervisor Tucker,
No.
Supervisor Moyer,
No.
Supervisor Szymanski,
No.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Karen Aqua Anderson.
Yes.
I forgot Supervisor Blomberg, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Supervisor Conroy, yes. So, motion to postpone and research what we can actually do is carried. That's, is the way we gotta run it. So, sorry to make it take another month, but there's too complicated to try to do anything more than simply to not remove that today.
Will we be able to put this on next month's agenda?
Yeah.
Yes, I still have time. I'll make another public hearing notice, yes, but I still.
Might
have
be a
time.
question for court counsel more than Jason.
Well, I
I'm
just have,
saying she's gotta do the work.
yeah, but if I want to get it noticed for another public hearing, then I have to meet my legal timeframes.
Mhm.
Okay. We don't wanna commit to something that you can't deliver.
Good point.
I should be able to get an opinion.
Okay,
When it's.
thank you.
Okay. We're, caught back up, we're back to our enforcement. Violation enforcement policy discussion. So. You wanna update us, Jason, on what we've accomplished so far with that?
Yeah, so I just basically cleaned up the document just a little bit, removed, there was a question mark or two that was still in there. So the items highlighted in gray there were essentially the changes that were made. So basically it covers all the same things that we discussed prior, and staff will send 2 violation letters prior to a citation. Other than obviously sewer ones we talked about were separate issues. Yeah.
Okay, and then. I see, Stephanie also has some guidance on this.
Yeah, so then the her letter is in there as well. I don't know if Stephanie,
Part of guidance. It's not
You want-
completed guidance, but it's a start.
and if you wanna, if you're gonna ask Stephanie questions, I guess I would like it if she'd sit up here
Yeah.
and the audio picks up a little bit better too. In meetings, you can sit over there if you want. Right next to it.
This is something, this is unrelated to this, we're done with the
Yes.
contract, this is not violation, this is not enforcement, this is different enforcement. I just wanna make sure
Yes.
I can jump off, okay,
Yep.
Thanks, Danny.
all right, thanks everyone, thank you, bye-bye.
Did you want the microphone moved closer to where Stephanie is for the benefit of the clerks?
No, I
We
think,
can
I
have,
think I can speak up.
I think it.
We should get it.
Okay.
So I think this, again, in your preliminary guidance, that the consistency is being consistent and not treating different groups differently under a single ordinance.
That's pretty much correct. So the main concern that I'm still working out the nuances of, and that there might be some wiggle room, so to speak, is the equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment and the companion First Amendment or Article 1 of the Wisconsin Constitution say that boiled down, you treat everyone the same. There are the ability to categorize people based on compelling government interests. The government entity, the government interest that we would be looking at would be county interest. The towns may have their own interest in enforcement for their subset of people, for their citizens. But there would have to be a county interest in having these categories be treated differently. But again, there's some nuance there in terms of what constitutes that interest and the threshold, and that's what I'm trying to find the sort of bright-ish line rule. I don't think there's a fully bright rule, but
It sort of strikes me that we don't want to get confused and this is an enforcement policy for the ordinance we have. And if we were gonna do any modification with involvement with towns, you know, that might require the town to adopt some kind of an ordinance that clarified what their role would be or whatever. You know, so I think we wanna recognize that what this really is about is what we currently have on the books, not what we might have in the future.
right, and we can't mandate a town adopt a new policy with regards to zoning enforcement, that we can't make them do that. So if we are able to categorize, and if we are able to have a compelling government interest, and we are able to have these divisions and these different enforcements, that would require changing our ordinance or our ordinance structure, the content of that to cover that. That's not something we could do just by internal policy. So that would require some, you know, some modifications, some hearings, all of those sorts of things, to sort of codify those divisions into law.
So having said that, or gone through that, what might be, you know, further research is if there are any type of amendments or anything that we could address certain issues with, if we wanted to do that down the road. But for now, are we relatively okay with what we've got accomplished so far? Go ahead.
Well, most of this discussion revolves around the questions that I've asked in the past, so I'm gonna address that. My whole goal in this and my initiative in this, and why I even chose to be on the land use committee or asked to be, was I wanna make sure things are applied fairly and evenly. And that, I'll tell you, I'm gonna let this go for now, but that had better happen in the future. That's what I'm gonna say about it. There's a lot of discretion that's involved with enforcement. I would say use the maximum amount of effort of being fair with people. And for me, I don't think it's up to government to determine how free somebody is to be able to use their property. That's what I'm gonna say about it, and I'll leave it with that.
Okay, no, I think we all agree with that, really. We want it to be and I just think though that's where, in order to keep that evenness, I think we need to allow staff to make the decisions. We can't be trying to, it goes right into the different status of different people if we're all trying to pick and choose what we think somebody should do on an individual case. That clouds the whole issue, right? So I think we rely on staff to be consistent, and we trust staff when there's a hot button issue to bring to us that we need to talk about. I think Stephanie will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that would probably require us to be in a closed session, because it would be a potential litigation.
Well, when it comes to litigation, when it comes right down to it, and someone is brought into court for a citation that may, in my mind, may not be justified. Would it be a part of a defense for that person to say, well, person A, B, C, D, and F have way more junk on my property than what I do? How come they're not fine? Would that be taken into consideration in a defense that way?
It's a potential defense that might be raisable through the court process. There's nuance to that, of course. It's not every situation, but there is the idea of selective prosecution. That's a defense that people can raise. How successful it is a whole other question, but it is a legal defense that exists.
And with your hesitation with answering, with your answer, it should tell everyone here that if someone is drug into court and that is a potential argument, let's make sure that we're very careful about how we do that, so we don't waste people's time and their expenses and getting a defense attorney and all these different things. We shouldn't even have to have it be a question.
And also, really, we don't want to waste the court's time either.
Well,
right?
that's
I mean, the
exactly
court's
true.
got serious stuff to contend with, and we try to get compliance out of court whenever we
Absolutely.
can. And
I
that's,
think everybody gets my point though.
oh,
Let
yeah.
it be, but we better treat people fairly.
Okay, I
I'm
think,
gonna leave it there from now. And we
enough.
don't want to talk about it anymore, but I'm in business on this.
I understand. Go ahead, you're, as long as you're here.
Again, thank you, Mr. Chair. As a town supervisor, I appreciate this discussion immensely, and this is very important to the town that historically we've been a complaint-based enforcement. And we would really like to see more research on, where it says staff will investigate a system to track permit follow-up, that this body approves 20 to 30 cups a year with 6 or 7 conditions a year, every year. And there is no system to do periodic compliance checks. Most of you know I spent 35 years in aviation, 35 years in the Air Force. We all did compliance checks on obviously aviation is important. You don't want airplanes falling out of the sky, but when it comes to conditions, it would be not selective prosecution. It would be very fair if every permit included a provision that periodic compliance checks may occur. And that applies to everyone, whether it's in a standing condition in a cup, that now you're taking the system away from a complaint-based argument and you're codifying it into a permit, that if we give you this permit, you agree that the issuing authority may perform periodic and routine compliance checks to ensure that you're building what you said you would build. You would be complying with the condition that you said you would comply with. This is why the town of Oakland always submits to you that every cup should terminate upon the sale or transfer of a property. And in regards to our last one, if that condition were on here, we would have had this discussion before this poor lady bought a garage. But I would like to offer that I do like the idea of the staff coming up with a follow-up thing, but I think if we turned it around and made it more compliance-based and not just complaint-driven enforcement, that the enforcement's at the end of that. And if we got to the more beginning part, now you're taking away the argument that you're picking on me, or my neighbor's got more junk than me, or why me? Now you're after me. Well, if it's compliance-based, then it applies to everyone. So from the town perspective, we appreciate this discussion and would hope that, and we'd be willing to do some of that research for you.
Stay up for a moment. We're going to move it on a little bit, but something we're doing in the town of Jackson next week. The fire chief wants to do driveway inspections for safety, and we're in a hazardous fire area, so it's serious, needs to be done. Back in the 80s, when I first got in this racket, DNR was pushing driveway standards and construction standards, and what they were advocating would have made a waterfront lot under the Norway pines with a log cabin with cedar shakes illegal, right? And we had a 100-foot clear cut all the way around it, which, no one was gonna do that. But we hatched that all out to come up with the driveway standards and turnarounds and whatnot that reside in the zoning ordinance now. And Jason has enforced a few of those over the years when he's gone out to a new construction site, and clearly it's not gonna be okay. And people have been good, they believe the firemen pretty much, even they don't wanna believe the zoning administrator. But what Jackson's fire chief asked to do was adopt an ordinance in the town of Jackson for an annual inspection of all driveways. And he was looking at a Web Lake ordinance that had an entire ordinance for permitting driveways that's pages long, that puts all the enforcement to the town of Web Lake with hearings and whatnot at the town expense. He said, we already have this in the zoning ordinance. Why don't we just work with the county The town will adopt the ordinance authorizing the fire department to do that at the town's powers level, which is for fire protection, almost anything you want to do is fine, right? So I wrote the ordinance for them then, that is page and maybe 2 pages long, possibly. Where he'll do all those inspections and notify people of the discrepancies or, I wouldn't call them violations, but deficiencies in their driveways that need to be corrected. And I fully expect 99.9% of people will do it. But if he needs an enforcement action, and the town board will make a decision notifying the person, affected property owner, that they have this, that they're gonna refer it to the county, which I talked to Jason about already, to seek enforcement, because the county needs this status to enforce it, right? I think that's an example of what we're talking about, where town and county work together on an issue of mutual importance. Requires the town to take some initiative and the county to then be willing to fill in where necessary. But we'll adopt that next Monday, I think. So, but anyway, I just wanted you as a town supervisor of Oakland to know this is something that came up back in Minot when I was still in Washburn County, of how to deal with these driveways, because they're fine when they build a house and 10 years later they're not, because of tree planting and landscaping and whatnot, and no one is checking. And how do we figure this out? This may be a way we can address some of these issues.
On the surface, Mr. Chair, I think the towns would, I think the town of Oakland would seriously support that. Whether or not we'd need some support on how we would be able to codify something like that to where the town who adopted county zoning could wade into that compliance checks of permits and things like that. We'd have to figure that piece out, of whether or not the town would have the authority to do this.
This is just one little piece, and its authority is based on fire protection. So this is a no-brainer almost, but according to AI anyway, it is. Winking at Stephanie. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm just using that as an example that just came up recently to try to, I've been trying to figure this out for 30 years. This might actually work, So that's all I had. I just throw it out as an aside, and I throw some more duties to Jason on inspection that are in this document, but not very much. So if we're good with this, then I think we'll take this.
Stephanie's got a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you want me to continue the analysis that I started for this month
I
to
would,
present next month? Because it seems like we're addressing the policy this month, so I didn't know if you wanted to continue that discussion this month as well.
no, it depends. It's up to the committee. If we're good where we're at, we can stop now and let you focus on the most recent duties we assigned you. And I think we generally are, aren't we? So, okay, then motion to approve the document as presented for today, but recognizing it's a living document and things may change to it.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Anderson, seconded by Supervisor Szymanski. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion's carried. Now we're going to do some reports and a little quick tutorial on how to translate our beacon stuff, right?
Yeah. Do you guys want to take a 5-minute break or not?
Yeah, and so I'm gonna do some coffee.
Yeah, you guys might fall asleep when I start going into this stuff.
Maybe we should roll, bring your thing up, or might be on some do these much, that possible.
I don't know, like the measure tool, I don't
So Jason's gonna run that,
Well, we got staff reports in there, I
Oh, okay.
mean, which,
run through them fast.
yeah, there's just, we got the 2025 imagery, the preliminary, we're reviewing it right now. Once we sign off on it, then we'll get the final version and be able to upload it onto the GIS website. The budget's in there, everything's fine, we've, already exceeded our revenue for the year. That we expected.
We're like 30% over on dwellings from the previous year.
Yeah.
Startling, kind of, you know, with
Yeah.
all of the other stuff going on.
Yeah, so the permit numbers are in there, like you said, yeah. 131 dwellings so far, only 100 last year at this time. Basically, yeah, staff, you know, we're finally starting to slow down now, so. Start working on all of our fun winter projects of trying to get caught up on everything we don't do during the year. That's about it for that stuff. Figured the main thing you guys wanna look at is the GIS stuff, so I got to share my screen here real quick.
You have to use the one.
I have it, I have Zoom,
You have Zoom, are you?
yeah. Why it's not,
Oh, you're on there.
yeah. What is going on here? There we go. Share. 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 Go. Alright, so now you're seeing my screen. So,
This is yesterday.
Oh, we were at the top of it.
so the easiest way to get to the GIS website is if you just go to the Burnett County homepage, burnettcountywi.gov, and then if you just scroll down, move this box, sorry. GIS maps right here. That gets you right to the GIS website. And of course, you're all gonna read the disclaimer here every time before you go in it, all the fun.
Has it changed? Oh, that one's this good.
Yeah, but you gotta click on it every time you go in here, so you're gonna agree to that. Basically, it's just saying, you know, the stuff on here is not guaranteed 100% accurate, all that stuff. So when the site opens, it defaults with what it has turned on. The left-hand side controls all the different layers that you have to your disposal, and we put all of our data out there on the GIS website, so you can literally go on any of these, like here, if you wanted to go public land layers and you want to turn on, you know, county land or just have state land only. So you can go and, you know, click any of these on and off, and the map will update while you're doing that. We have stuff broke down under different headings, you know, district layers, there's supervisory, like if you wanna see what county board supervisor districts are where. That, like I said, we try to put everything on here that we can. Fire districts, emergency stuff, school district boundaries are on here too. If you're curious about any of that stuff. PLSS corners, so the surveyors go on here and turn on this stuff, if they're looking for survey information about, the government corners that they need to tie into. They'd be turning that layer on. Some of these layers, you gotta zoom in for them to turn on, so if you turn a layer on, like zoomed out at the county, like I did here, if I'm zoomed out at the county.
What's the meaning of the different colors?
So when you're zoomed out to the county, some of these layers might not turn on. So like here, I turn on PLSS corners and nothing turns on until I zoom in closer, then they'll turn on. The blue ones are government corners that were set in the original government survey back in the 1840s through the 70s. So that's what the blue X's, square X's are. The yellow ones, those are corner sheets that are available, but those were not original government corners, so maybe a surveyor set pipes in 1950 and did a corner sheet on it. That's what a lot of this stuff, like in Lincoln, this used to be like consolidated paper mill land. that they did corner sheets on and
Like a,
stuff
like
like.
a center of section maybe?
Center in forties, yep.
Yeah, regional government never set the center, but
Correct.
surveyors often did.
Yep, like here's the center of section. So that's what that stuff, surveyors use a lot of that information. The land management layers, this is the one that a lot of us zoning staff are constantly looking at.
There were some red PLSS.
Yep.
Are those ones that have not been completed?
Correct. So if I go and find a few, there's some along the river that we haven't done yet.
Yeah, there aren't very many left.
Yeah, there's not many left. So these are original government corners that were set, but there's never been a corner sheet done or any recent documentation of it. So those are considered lost corners that eventually we will get to sometime.
There's a protocol to how to reset them if there's no evidence left.
Yep.
That has
And
to,
I don't know how much of a tangent you want to get off here, but I mean, we have to go into Minnesota, like we've done them down in Anderson.
Have we gained or lost any land with Minnesota over the years?
Well, our boundary with Minnesota, for the most part, is the thread of the St. Croix River.
right?
So
And
that was established by an act of Congress.
it's from the second head of the second set of rapids above the Indian Village and the St. Louis River due south to the St. Croix.
Yep, due south, so
And
that,
then, but the surveyor missed the first set of rapids and went a half mile too far west. So we did beat Minnesota out of a half mile wide strip back before we were a state, so that was good.
yeah, so this is the state line. I'm zoomed up to Blaine right now if you, try not to spend too much time. But you wonder why there's so many blue X's on this line is because they set half mile posts when they ran that line straight south in the 1850s or whatever that was. They set half mile posts. And then the section subdivisions came in afterwards and where they intersected the state line, then the surveyor would set that point. So, anyway, turn that off here. So zoom out here to the county and you can zoom on and pan just by using your mouse. You know, I'm holding my mouse, panning, zooming. I'm just using the roller to zoom. You can do these tools, here too. I never use these ones. I always just use my roller and pan around. So here's a lot of the zoning layers that we're always dealing with. Here's the zoning map for the entire county. You can click that layer on. And if you zoom in, the layers will try to zoom into somewhere that has a lot of different things. The districts label themselves. So here you see C1, that's the pink. RR3, that's that yellow color here. RR1, that's that brownish color here.
Is there a key somewhere?
You have to go to the zoning ordinance if you want to see what each of those districts mean.
I just thought like the color. I mean, I guess it's yellow, so you know it's RR3.
Yeah, so it just labels in the map somewhere. Yep.
And sometimes you kind of have to hunt for the label.
Yeah, it's an auto labeling, so it's we haven't set up where it labels, it's doing all this automatically, so yeah, you gotta look and try to find where it's labeled inside that colored polygon.
Can you do setbacks on there too?
You could, there's a way I'm gonna show you how to measure on this map, but there's not a layer that turns on automatically setbacks, correct?
Okay.
Yep.
But you can turn off zoning, for example, if you need to see better through all the layers.
Yeah, so this is, stacking, a GIS is essentially stacking data on top of each other. So I can turn everything on here. I could turn zoning, soils and everything else, but the map will be so cluttered and discombobulated that I won't even know what anything is. So you gotta kind of be careful with trying to turn on too much stuff at one time. Especially on these layers where it fills the whole map with color. So how I always use it, I just turn on the zoning layer. If I'm looking for zoning, then I turn that layer back off. So then I get a better, clear image that I'm looking at. We have, airport protection, that's around the Burnett Airport. We have the future land use. So if I turn that on, I can see what the townships have adopted for future land use. So these should label, oh no, so what I do, yeah, so here's another trick you wanna do too. So if I want to identify, like right now I have future land use layers turned on. If I click this layer, you see now the layer name has got like highlighted around it and it has the identify little tag here. That means that layer is active now. So if I click on the map, it's showing me future land use area that's ag enterprise. So it's grabbing the layer that I specifically wanted it to and identifying that. Otherwise, the map doesn't know, with so many layers of data, it doesn't know which thing you're trying to hit unless you do that. I realize this is probably pretty confusing. But yeah, we'll just keep going. What other things? Soil maps, we have those loaded on here. So these again are showing soil series. Now these, there's a whole hundreds and hundreds of pages of a soil descriptions that you can find online that match to each one of these different soil series. Another one we use a lot of times, FEMA floodplain. So here you'll see it's this blue polygon, it's hatched. You can kind of see the light hatching over it. If I turn off the aerial, sometimes it, it's easier to see the floodplain without the aerial on, but then you can't tell what's underneath it, where's my house if I'm in the floodplain or not, so.
And that should undergo major revision by what, 2029 or there?
Yes, the floodplain maps are supposedly going to be updated and it's shooting for 2029, so right around the corner.
That one was an AE is based on an elevation.
Yes, so zone AE means there's a floodplain elevation determined. If I go look at something else, there should be like fish, I think is a zone A. So zone A, that means there's no floodplain. No study's been determined what the flood elevation of that water body is.
Is that, so when I bought my place, it was in the flood zone and I had it.
You had a LOMA done.
Yeah, or map change?
Letter of map amendment that is done, submitted, your surveyor takes elevations around your building,
Yep.
submits that to FEMA, and then they come back and say, yep, you're good, or no, you're not.
Did those changes get put into this system?
So they don't, it's kind of a misnomer, letter of map amendment, they actually don't amend the map.
Oh.
So they don't make and adjust the map, cause they'd be constantly doing map
Right.
amendments
Right.
all over the country. So they just file that document, you can go to FEMA's website and see all the LOMAs that have been done in the county. When we get a copy of the LOMA, we scan it to your parcel. So if you look at the permit records for your parcel, it'll show up in there too. So I'm trying to get it out there so everybody can find it the easiest way possible.
The area that's mapped on that is, what is it, Jason, probably in a 10-foot contour?
Yes, well, that's when the FEMA maps were done, were based on the USGS quads, which were a 10-foot contour.
So their relative precision isn't very good for the map.
Plus
But
or
when we
minus.
get our new maps in the system, they'll be really accurate.
Yeah, cause they're using our 1-foot LiDAR contours to do the new floodplain map, so those should be a lot more
It should be
accurate.
smaller.
A lot of people won't be in anymore.
Yeah, cause I mean, I'll show you, if we wanna talk about it for a minute, I'll show you a horrible example of the FEMA maps. Not that I wanna bash,
A horrible
people too much.
example or a good example?
Example, so I'm down here on Spencer Lake. If I turn on the FEMA floodplain map. So you see this line here, if I turn on the 1-foot contours. I am, let's see. We got about a 980 at the water and the floodplain map is showing it's about 1,015, so. The floodplain map's like 35 feet above the lake. If that floods 35 feet, we got bigger problems, so.
I've seen that a lot of places. One thing that, I use this site a lot. And I think a lot of businesses do, and I think it helps our economy in the county quite a lot because it's really used a lot. But one thing I'd like to see in that map that I don't think it has are groundwater elevations. And that data is out there on the DNR website too. through the construction reports, you can see what those are. And why that's important is where there is sand like that, it is super important to be able to see what that is if you're gonna build. And once we get my problem fixed over there, we want to worry about the groundwater table moving 6 feet. Cause that's what it does. So-
Yeah, I'm all for putting more, everything on here, you know, not that I don't wanna interact with people, but if I get it out here and you can answer your own question, you don't have to wait for me to, you know, call you back, and we play phone tag.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all for getting as much stuff as we can out here to make everyone's life easier. They can do research at midnight if they want, or, you
Yeah,
know,
it's great.
yep.
So what Duke is talking about right now is really not available, but if
I just, it sounded, so that's DNR data that I would have to go and grid those files and then we would upload them onto the county GIS website, yep. Cause this is not interacting with other websites, this is us having all this data, so FEMA, those FEMA maps, those are their maps, but we downloaded the digital data and then uploaded them
Yeah.
here.
Real quick, when
Yep.
FEMA had originally, our original maps were unbelievably bad, just dots, you know, on a black and white matrix. Then FEMA remapped a really much nicer looking map with showing structures and lakes and transparencies, but it wasn't any more accurate.
No, they literally digitized a paper map.
Right.
So they say it was a new map, but all it did is take a piece of paper and made it electronic.
It's a new map, but it wasn't a more
Yeah.
accurate map.
Yeah, it was no
And
more
that
accurate.
led to, like, on North Sand Lake by my place, a whole bunch of people getting a letter right before Christmas that we just discovered you're in the floodplain looking at the new FEMA map, so send us $1,000 per 100,000 value 30 days or your insurance is canceled, you know, kind of thing.
But you definitely gotta take it with a grain of salt. I mean, with doing easements and all those things, the
What
property
happened-
lines aren't exactly right.
What happened out of that was the Lake Association passed the hat and we had denied a couple on the new map land use permits for people needing a study. And then they funded the study and it had to include Green Lake and North Sand and Mallard and Pine, and, you know, it was a big study, $10,000 plus study that had been a burden for one guy. But when we got the study back, the flood elevation of North Sand was like a foot above the high water mark, you know. I mean, my point being, that's what people had to do in the past. And it's, you know, just because of the inaccuracy of the maps that FEMA was producing, really. But not really, they didn't have anything to base it on but 10-foot contour map. But anyway,
Yeah, so here's an example. So right now I have the USGS quads turned on with the FEMA floodplain and you can see they were following this contour. They basically traced. Because then that was all they had, I guess. That was the
Yeah.
best map they had was the USGS quad.
contour above the lake, they thought, or
Yep.
whatever, you know, so
So you
there
can
you
see, then looks like they accidentally jumped across here, but you know, that's generally what they were trying to
No, I
follow.
mean, they had to jump out on
Mhm.
Warner, no, not Warner, Viola Lake, which has got a cliff from 70 to the water, and they jumped contour on that one,
Mhm.
and we got actually a phone call from Feingold's office on behalf of somebody wondering what happened there, and I later talked to a FEMA engineer about why that was wrong, and she believed me, so it worked.
So groundwater elevations, that would be essentially surface water?
No, surface
No.
water is water you see, groundwater is water that's moving under you all the time.
Oh,
But what happens is with groundwater flooding is when groundwater becomes surface water. That's what the issue is there.
Um,
You know, a lot of people don't realize that St. Croix River is 100 feet lower in surface water elevation than what Crex Meadows is. They're not really so much
Like the
related.
Yellow River's 20 or 30 feet lower than
Yeah.
Devil's Lake, same
Well,
kind of
That's why
thing.
that's why the lakes run to it. So, you bet.
Anyway, yeah.
so it-
Yeah, neat.
So do we have all of that data currently? And then be added as a layer?
Well, so I mean, I'd have to go find it from where the DNR has it.
Right now, it's not the DNR, it's Geological Wisconsin Historical Survey in partnership with UW Extension.
Okay.
And DNR does help with some funding on it, but
Yeah.
they have actual wells like up in Trigo, there's one in Webster, there's one just west of my house that are 24/7, 365 actively monitoring what the groundwater elevation is.
Mhm.
And kind of neat. So the data's out there, but them are the entities that have it.
Mhm. Yeah, there's lots of data out there. I just have to find who has it and get the files for it,
Create the
you know,
layer.
and create the layer and get it to, then we have to, you know, get it so it labels correctly and all that stuff. But yeah, no, that's where, like, and I'm gonna turn on here, the wetland points.
Well, if I don't get on there, you have questions on water elevations anywhere in that area of the county, let me know. I know what they are. So,
Okay.
So this is like here, I just turned on the wetland DNR points and the Wisconsin DNR wetlands layers. Again, those are not the county layers, but the DNR has them and we downloaded them and added them. I do want to say there's all sorts of disclaimers on the DNR wetland layers that they're, you know, not ground truth, they're approximations. So I always tell people, be cautious. You know, like if I bought this piece of property and went, oh, there's no wetland, I'm gonna build, you know, right here. You know, maybe it is wetland if you actually went out there and looked at it on the ground. So you just, these layers, they basically digitize these layers looking at aerial imagery. So they didn't go and physically walk every single parcel in the whole state of Wisconsin to try to outline, you know, where the wetlands are, so.
That was in the eighties when that happened.
Yep.
Technology wasn't like now.
Yeah, so I get it, and that's why we have disclaimers on the beginning, you know, because we wanna tell people, hey, you know, don't be buying this piece of property based on this wetland map, because you know, some of the data sources are not that accurate.
Yeah, either you or a representative get out there and actually
Mm-hmm.
look the situation over.
Yeah,
And get certified as delineators.
yeah. There's some wetland, we have the watershed layers on here, so you can kind of see where water is going. You know, this is the Indian Creek watershed. North Fork watershed, so you know, kind of some cool stuff on here. Big thing that a lot of people probably use, or at least I do, the 1 foot contours, so these are the 2022 LiDAR. I guess I'll just keep picking on Spencer Lake since we're down in that neck of the wood, well, maybe that's a bad example since it's so steep. But these are 1 foot elevation lines. You zoom into somewhere, again, if you're zoomed out at the county and you don't see anything, that's because we have some of these layers where they don't turn on until you zoom in to a certain scale, because if you were here, the map would just be blue lines. You wouldn't be able to see anything. So we'll maybe just zoom in here or something. Pretty good detail though, so I mean, you can kind of see road, you know, road ditches and different things like that.
Wow.
And here's, you know, the roads flowing, so we're going either down or upgrade. We do have the 2020 or 2015 contours on here. These are only 2 foot contours though. So a little bit less accurate. And then the 10 foot ones as well from 2015. We do have the SIP, so that's the Shoreline Incentive Program. So those parcels that have enrolled in that Shoreline Incentive Program, they get the $50 payment every year. So if you turn that layer on, you can see the parcels that are enrolled in that program.
Now for the casual user, if they look at SIP, they might not know what SIP means.
Oh, no, they wouldn't. Yep.
So, and if I wade through there, I wouldn't know what
Yep.
SIP had. Could SIP be put in parentheses or whatever? And then shoreline improvement program written out?
Probably then it's gonna, you know, it's gonna take up more space because we only have so many characters. We can, so it'd be 2 rows. I mean, but yeah, we can have this stuff on the left be whatever we want it to say. It just makes for more scrolling if we have more things that you're having to go through.
It might eliminate confusion for the
Correct.
user.
Yeah.
What's a recreation layer?
We're getting there. So slope, this is a layer that shows slope modeling. Let me turn off, so don't look at the pink. So if I hear, it's like a heat map, well, I guess maybe a lot of people don't know what like a heat map is. So see how where it was red, that was very steep area. Like right now, I'm looking here, see how it's red? If I turn on the 1 foot contours, that's showing me there's a lot of elevation change. Look at all that, 1, 2, probably 30 feet of elevation change or
Looks like a
25 feet.
fingerprint.
Yeah, so that's kind of just a heat map where if you just kind of want to look at things without having to turn on the contours, you can see where things are steep
Things
slopes.
that are prohibited, some types of septic
Yep.
systems, for example.
Yep, so typically you got steep slopes along like this creek bottom here and stuff like that. I don't use that layer very much, but it's on there. So recreation layers. These, so you click on this layer, you got all these different things you can turn on and off. So if you wanted to see like county parks, I don't know, we probably have Yellow Lake Narrows, that's a county park right there. Public water accesses, that turns on the little boat landing symbols. You can turn on the Gandy Dancer Trail, which would zoom into that. That would be over here or right here, Gandy Dancer Trail. The summer ATV trail shields, a shield is a label. So that's all that's doing. So if I turn on the summer ATV trails, find where they're at, probably up north, most of them. So by turning on that layer, it turns on the line work, and then if I want to see the shields, there's the labels. So that's like, Trail 45. Same thing, frozen ground ATV shields, frozen ground ATV trails, again, that layer on there. Snowmobile trails, again, that layer on there. Aerial imagery, it's pretty popular one. So right now I have the 2020 imagery on. I can go, let's zoom in on something here, I guess. Click on this person, right? 2022 imagery. I can go turn on I gotta turn the other one off though, because it's, it's gonna stack these. If I turn on all these, 2022 is the only one I see because that's the top layer. So I'll turn off 2022, turn on 2020. I can see what it looked like in 2020. Do I want to see maybe what it looked like in 2009? That's what it looked like in 09. And the cool thing is there's this little tool over here, which is a slider. I can put two different images
Well, that's what that's for.
on the left and the right side. So on the left side, I have 2022 imagery, and on the right, let's see how.
I was wondering what that was for.
Yep, so I could put this one to be 09. So I can see what, and they haven't done much different.
Faded, it's about it.
Yeah. And maybe they got a little patio here or something that wasn't on the 09 photo. See, so you can kind of see if you're trying to see, what was there, in a certain year and what's there now, you can use that tool instead of having to turn them on and off and try to memorize, what was there.
Where was the slider originally?
It's this little button right here. Over on the right-hand side.
Oh,
Yep, so it's just always on the map.
Oh.
So you just turn that on and that's the slider tool. So,
wow. What's the one just above that button?
I don't know. Let's find out. Full screen. There you go. Oh, once it loads, there we go. Makes my screen full. Now the problem is I can't see the tools because Zoom is overlaying the tools or their stuff over my tools up there. So I'm gonna have to go back to.
Still can do some things if like the draw and measure.
Yeah. So let's see, what did I go through most of the stuff on the left? Yeah, you can turn on different roads. We don't have any railroads. You can turn on, you want to see if there's a cemetery somewhere. You can turn that layer on. Should be some cemeteries there.
Can you show all of the campgrounds and campsites in the county?
No. Don't have that data.
Might show up like the state park kind of stuff, maybe, but public stuff.
Yeah, Are you talking like public or private campgrounds?
Well, maybe one version for public and one version for private? Or one version for all?
We could look into that, cause right now, you know, when like a campground, let me turn on.
That's probably a layer on the tourism maps or something, you know?
Yeah, they might have, I mean,
I don't know how accurate they are.
as far as trying to do specific, camp sites, you know, like here's a campground with what, like 50 some sites, you know, we could make a layer that was a campground point that said, you know, this would be Siren Campground or something. We could make a layer like that, but I wouldn't want to make a layer that has 50 little individual boxes saying, you know, site 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think the map would just get cluttered. And it wouldn't be very useful to probably anyone.
Well, in reality, if somebody really wanted to research it, if there's a campground there, then they go down to the zone and query the permits. They can
Yeah.
easily enter the file, that's public access.
Yep.
It is
Yep.
available.
Yep. So that's pretty much all the layers kind of over there on the left-hand side. So then I was gonna kind of go over some of these tools up here in the top. So the identify tool is basically what's on. Make sure you got parcel as your active layer down here. So if I click on this, it highlights that parcel and you see here you can click this review or report or permits. So like if I go here and click permits, this now I can get every permit that's been issued on that parcel. This is a list of them, and if I want to see, oh, let's see, here's sanitary 17-194. I want to look at that. All I do is click on this hyperlink here and I get the permit image. So now I can scroll through this permit, look at, you know, the approvals, there'd be maps further on in here. So we have all the permits and everything out there, again, to try to, you know, a realtor is looking at this, contractors maybe looking at this to try to find information about a parcel. So we, you know, try to have it all on the website.
Would it show the conditional uses?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if I go back here and go to,
So how did you get into this originally? From the previous?
There was a little box that
here's
came
the-
up and it said permits or report. The report would be the parcel
yep.
detail, tax assessment, and all that stuff.
So here's the CUP for this campground. So yeah, that's how you get to that. Has all, you know, the conditions, the maps and everything. Yeah, so how did I, oh
Yeah.
no, did I kill myself there?
You'll have that.
So if you start from scratch.
Sharing my screen again.
Routinely happens to me when I'm on this.
Share. All right, should be back on. Let me zoom back in where I was and we'll click back again how I got. Yep, it's getting there. Here's back where I was. So we clicked this identify tool. That made the parcel.
Where was the identify tool?
Right there.
It's the one that's highlighted. It's active all the time.
Oh, okay.
So it's yellow, so that means that's the tool that's in play right now. So all I did then is I clicked inside the parcel and this box came up where it says report or permits. And when I clicked on permits, that was what brought me to the other screen that showed the list of all the permits. If I click report, this brings me to kind of a snippet of the tax roll, essentially. Has some information, legal description, so on. If I click this view data, now I'm actually looking at the same exact screen that our internal staff looks at for property records. So essentially Novus, our tax system, you're looking at a copy of Novus. So let's say I wanted to see what the tax records were. This one, since it's a new parcel, it only has 2 years worth. But here I want to see what their taxes were in 2024. I can look at that. If I want to see what their tax bill was at that year. So here's the 2024 tax bill. This document stuff, it lists some current documents for the parcel. Zoning tab doesn't have anything on it. Novus never had it, never got the zoning function to work in their program, so there's nothing there. Officials, like if I want to see who my assessor is or who's the treasurer for my township. That stuff's all in there too. So there's a lot of stuff in here that I think a lot of people don't know. You just gotta keep kind of clicking around
All
and find
stuff
it.
that's
It's all public record,
a
yeah,
paper record already existing, but
Yep.
it's just accessible.
yep. So now if I wanna go back to my map, I hit view map. And then it'll bring me back to my map. Is this? Zoom in, that's, pretty standard tool. Clear selection, if I wanna get rid of my blue highlighted box there, just hit clear selection, then it goes away. Tool that I think a lot of people maybe don't know about that is pretty cool, you have this draw measure tool, so I'm gonna zoom in on something here. Zoom in on a parcel here, so you have this draw measure tool. So this comes up, now I can decide, do I wanna draw a polygon, do I wanna draw a line? Do I wanna draw a freehand line? I can do points, I can put labels on. So I'll just go through a couple different things here, so. A lot of things where I do is I draw a measure line, you wanna click this update styles, if you wanna pick the colors that you want things, I always like to do it with red, so I can see it a little bit better. Include measurements. You typically want to do that, like, so if I'm measuring something, I will see the measurement, otherwise all I'm gonna see is a line, but it won't tell me the measurement. Most of the time, if you're trying to measure something, you want the measurement, right? So. So if right now I have draw measure line. So like, let's say I wanted to roughly measure how long the house is. There you go, it's roughly 50.97, well, 51 feet, something like that.
Or if you wanted to measure from the lake shore.
Yeah.
And see where 75 feet.
Yep, now if I was gonna do that, I'd be turning on contours so I could see elevations. Not just gonna measure from this blue polygon that we drew on here, so yeah. If this is the ordinary high water mark where I measured from, they're roughly 80 some feet back.
You can
From it.
turn off that blue lake layer too and just see water.
Yep, if you just wanna see the black water, you turn off the lakes and major rivers, minor, so now I just see water. Black is water, and anytime aerial imagery is taken, the black. Maybe absorbs light or something, or the water must absorb light, so it shows up as black. Let's see, I can draw, let's see here, what are we doing? Draw, measure, line, I can draw, measure polygon, so this is kind of cool if I am like trying to figure out the impervious area. Or the amount of hard surface, or how many square feet maybe a building footprint is. So I can turn this, I can adjust my settings if I want, I'll just leave it black, you wanna include measurements again. And then this, I wanna change it to square feet if I'm measuring something small. So like down here now, if I wanna go, okay, how big roughly is the footprint of this building, I can. Measure around here. Double click to end it. It's roughly, 2,600 square feet or so. So it's kind of a neat thing. You can measure the area of something using that tool. We have draw points. I can draw different things on the map if I want. Let's see your marker color. I don't use this tool very often, but let's say I wanted to draw X on the map. And I wanted it to be that size, let's see, font type, basically color, let me make my X blue, I guess. So now if I go here, I'm putting an X on the map. So let's say I was gonna draw something here and I wanted to email somebody and I would say, hey, look at the X, and I could make that bigger if it was, too small. Like, nope, I want my X to be bigger. I could do different symbols, I can draw, whatever, I can draw a circle on there if I want. Again, change the color of the circle. Maybe I want the circle to be red. It's almost the limit of your imagination of how much you want to start playing and doing stuff there. Add label, it's kind of the same. This is where I can freehand text, so I can just say, look here, maybe. And I want to put that on the map. Click here. I gotta change the color because it's white. Update the style. Come on. Well, whatever. I can type text. Look here. If I drew something on there that I want to delete, but I don't, here I can do, this is the nuclear option. I delete all my markups. So everything I just drew is gone. But let's say I went, oh man, put that label in there. I don't want to have that one label. I do the select, just click on it and then hit, when it's highlighted, just hit delete. And I can just delete that one fixture. So I don't have to delete all of them or start over. And I can delete, same thing with this polygon. Maybe I don't want that polygon on there anymore. I can delete it. I don't like that one line, I can delete it. So you can delete individual things, or you can just, if I just hit this clear all, it just wipes everything from the whole map. If I have symbols drawn on 30 different parcels, you just got rid of everything.
Be cautious of
Yeah, using that tool, you're gonna, might be a little upset. So that's pretty much all the draw, label, different tools that you can do. Obviously, if you want to print a map, hit this print button up here.
Would that print just the portion that is visible then?
Yes, so it's gonna print. It's gonna print basically the scale that I want it to, and it's gonna print what's shown in the red box. I know it's kind of confusing here because we got boxes on top of boxes and stuff, but I'll just show you here. If I go, if I click here, I'm zoomed in pretty tight. If I hit download PDF, that's the PDF that it's gonna print. Maybe I went, oh, that's too close. I don't want to be that close. I'm gonna make sure I close the right window here and not do something bad. Gosh. Stupid. Sorry, I'm moving all the Zoom tools that are sitting on top of my screen that you guys don't see. So if I go back here, let's say that was too close. I could zoom out a click or two, download the PDF. So there, I'm now zoomed out a little further. And again, I have the LiDAR contours turned on. That's why the blue lines are on there. If I don't want those on, I could go over here. Turn off the 1 foot contours. Now when I hit print, they're not there. So again, you can turn layers on and off, whatever your desire is, and then print maps. You can include title bar, headers, scale bar. Usually I'm just trying to look at the map. So I usually don't have any of these different things turned on, but I could, because then if I turn these on, I lose more of my print area, but I can type a title, nice house or something. And I hit download PDF on this. And it's there's my label that I just typed in, nice house. So if I want to make a prettier map to show someone, I can, do different text and labels. And by having that stuff on the bottom, the footers and everything turned on, now you can see the date and time that I created it. So if you wanted to have something, like a timestamp on it saved or something.
Nice.
But then, you know, the more of that stuff you have turned on, then the less map you're actually viewing. So that's why I never usually do it, because I'm just trying to view as much as I can on my screen, so.
And you might be getting to this, but I know like in the village along Highway 35, you can view like the highway right of way lines.
Yeah, so all these,
It's available like for towns, or you basically need to know that a right of way is however many feet from center.
yeah, so a state road is they typically have a platted road right away. So like here, I'm looking at Highway 70. So this is the right of way line, you know, this yellow line. So, because it's a boundary line. But you notice here, here's a town road. I maybe have a boundary line on this side, because more than likely these lots were created by a certified survey map and the surveyor depicted where the right of way is. But these lots on this side have probably never been surveyed, so I don't know where the right of way is on that side. So that's a tricky one. And plus, there are some roads, you know, the standard rule is 66 foot 4 rod right of way, but there are roads that are 3 rod, some are 2 rod. I live on a 3 rod road, so it's only 49.5 feet wide. So,
There's a couple 2-rod ones in Grantsburg, I know.
yep, so I mean that.
In the town of Grantsburg, like,
That is a trickier, and that's more of where like utility companies are trying to find that information, cause if they're putting their fiber down, they gotta make sure they're in that road right away and not on private property, so.
Without an easement, you bet.
Yep, so that's, so that gets, yeah, there's not an easy way. The DOT state right of way is the one that's solid, because they survey their right of way out, so I can pretty much pan along state highways and know, when you see here, you know, it does change. Here, it's not very wide, but down here, you know, the right of way goes a lot further.
the incorporated villages would probably have most, if not all of them.
So then, because most of the stuff in the villages has been surveyed or platted, I should say, so yeah, if I zoom into like the village of Siren, here I see the road right away, here I see the alley, you know, line depicted. The right of way, the alley there. So yeah, when you're in the villages, most of this stuff's been surveyed, but when you're outside of the villages, you know, don't make any assumptions anywhere. So. Let's see here, what else? There's some download button. I've never even done this, so I don't even know what this does. Download JPEG. Let's see what happens. Just click on things sometimes and.
I smell smoke. Just kidding.
Let's see here what I did. Oh, it looks like it just took an image of my screen essentially. Once you guys see it.
You created a document that you can email.
He creates a picture for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
It works good to create a list of addresses and names for people too, with
Okay.
you circle a bunch of properties.
Yep, so yeah, I was probably, that's more of a power user, I would call it, where they're doing analysis or grabbing stuff, yeah, cause I can get really creative here with doing selections, like here, if I wanna select parcels again, I can select by polygon. Let's say I wanna grab all the parcels. Wanna know who owns all these parcels within this box. So now that just highlighted all those parcels. In here, it's giving me a list of who those are, and I think I can download this list.
Over on the right.
Yeah, over on the right over here somewhere, yep. Yeah, so you can download this list into like an Excel file or something, if you wanted to maybe send them a mailing or something. You know, hey, we're doing utility work in that area in the future or something. Yep, so you can get pretty creative with doing a lot of stuff. Select by freehand, yeah, if I just wanted to, you know. Oops, that tool not working, select by, oops, select. If I wanna get coordinates of a location, maybe an example might be, I wanna go deer hunting and I want to, so, whoops, sorry. Clear selection. Select, there we go. I'll zoom into somewhere wild or something. I wanna go put my deer stand in the corner of this, field right here. I can, select, get coordinates. Come on. Move too fast. You can click on the map. So I just put an X there and now it's giving me the latitude and longitude of that location. So now if I had a GPS, I could type that into my GPS unit and, try to navigate to that point.
Find it in the dark.
Yep.
Speaking of hunting, so what is open for people to hunt is sometimes tied to how the land is taxed.
Yeah, we do not have so we have the state, county, federal layers, but we do not, so what you're referencing is MFL.
Okay.
And the reason we don't have that layer on there is because you can enroll and withdraw from that at any point in time, so we'd constantly be having to update polygons when people were going in and out of that program. Cause you can sign up for it and you commit to 25 or 50 years, but I could in 5 years go, yeah, I wanna pull out. And so you can pay a penalty and a tax and all that stuff.
Gets sold sometimes.
Yeah, it gets sold, so I mean, yeah, I don't have a MFL, and there's MFL open, there's MFL closed. You can only legally go on the open land, you can't go on the MFL closed,
What does
So-
MSL mean?
MFL, Managed Forest Law.
Oh, MFL.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, we don't have that type of information on the GIS, we just have the public land layers, cause that stuff's pretty static, it's not changing. Let's see, what else? I mean, I don't know what else. Searching, I guess we should. So if I wanna search for something, I can search by owner name, address, parcel number. Most people aren't searching by that, or tax ID. So let's say I wanted to find out 7410. So if I just type that number in, it pulls up all the 7410s in the county. And let's say I could go, oh, yep, this is the one I'm interested in. There it just pulled up, who the owner of that one is. And then I can click view map and it's gonna zoom me right to that parcel. So here I am zoomed to 7410 Godfrey Lake Road on the map. So, yeah, so the search.
Now that I saw it said postal districts,
Yep,
so that would be by zip code.
yep, yep.
Does that also, like Grantsburg goes down into Polk County or ways?
Well,
Would that incorporate Polk County stuff or not?
No, we're only mapping Burnett County. So you're only gonna see what we have within our boundary. Yep, so if I turn on postal districts.
You can go to Polk County's website and get on there, it's just.
Yeah, you could go to Polk's website, turn on their layer, but yeah, it's not gonna show, then you'll have two maps, open to see where it is, but yeah, you're not gonna get it in one comprehensive location.
Sure.
Yep.
Are adjoining counties on Beacon now too?
Yep, so all the adjoining counties are on this same, the Wisconsin counties, I should say, because we do border some Minnesota counties, but yeah, all the Wisconsin counties are on Beacon. It's really though, some counties maybe don't have as much. I think I was looking at, I can't remember what county, I was looking at some other county a couple months ago or something, and I went to their GIS and they didn't have hardly any GIS layers on their website. I guess it's just.
Mapping done.
Yeah, or, I don't know what it is, but I guess we've always kind of thought if it's public information, why not put it on the website? I do know, there can be some implications of, people using this for bad, let's say I'm, wanna track down somebody I don't like. I can do name searches on here, so there is some downside to that
Law
stuff.
providing protection for like judges.
Judges have protections, yes.
True about DAs and sheriffs and stuff.
Nope, DAs
are still open season.
Yep, they're still open season. Everyone is open season except judicial officers, which is essentially judges.
Land use committee members.
Yep, you're open season too. Now I don't know if there will be legislation in the future. I know some other states have started that where they're allowing more people to be protected. I think Florida has like 130 different people that are allowed to be protected, like government workers and all sorts of things. So at some point, I guess I shouldn't get on a soapbox too much here, but at some point, you know, we're trying to get everything out there for people to use it, but if you have to redact so much information, why not at some point just take it down? Because if you're hiding, you know, 10% of your data, you're just gonna get phone calls from everybody wanting that information anyhow, so I don't know. It's a balancing act, what you do, so.
Now in Minnesota, are Pine County and Chisago County also using Beacon?
I don't know, let's find out.
I think in Minnesota, they have a little bit different version of Beacon, so folks from over there looking at Burnett County might be confused by
See if I can find their GIS
Yeah.
website here.
on our Beacon,
Uh,
because supposedly we're more advanced.
Well, we have, our Beacon is a newer version of Beacon, the application, trying to find where. Maybe I should just do. How do I?
Search for GIS.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna probably do, Pine County GIS, is gonna be my next search here. Pine County, Minnesota, oh, right there, GIS. Beacon, yeah. Agree. Click on their map. Yep, so there you go. So looks like they have a lot of stuff. Let's see, roads, wetlands, zoning layers. Yep, so they have a lot of stuff, it looks like, on their page. I don't know what broadband is. Oh, look at that.
Unserved and underserved broadband.
Yeah.
They get that from the Public Service Commission maps.
Okay.
How is them, those maps? They'll tell you what areas are funded or not funded, or had grants that are federal versus state
Okay.
versus local.
Pine City Water, yeah. Yeah, so it looks like they're using that too. Let's see here. Else, yeah, search, so you can search by owner name, Smith, obviously, there's gonna be a whole bunch, but if I did, see here.
You can do Laqua.
Oh, okay.
There's not many of us.
Sure.
You. Yeah, so here, Laqua, there's not very many, Corey, whoever that is. Spirit Lake. Again, if I hit view map, that'll bring me to the map of their parcel. Right there. Advanced search, I never do this, but this is where you can really get into a lot of cool things. Let's say I wanted to search parcels that were delinquent underneath a certain assessment code in a certain municipality or section, town, and range. You can really drill down into a lot of things. I think some people kind of use this, let's say I wanted to find all the parcels that were between 1 and 3 acres in the town of Strasburg. You know, I could do something like that here. You know, I could go 1 to 3 and then go town of Grantsburg. And then I should be able to hit search. So here they all are, 138 parcels. So I think like maybe prospective developers or somebody, maybe, you know, if they're looking for a parcel or something, or see if somebody's
Get some of those
interested.
generic letters of somebody wanting to buy my vacant lot.
Correct, yep, yep. So yeah, that advanced search, you can really do quite a bit of cool stuff. You can search just by certain assessment codes. I want to see all the G1s within a certain township. I think it does limit the research results to either 500 or 1,000 results though. So if you did some search, you know, that was huge, you're not gonna get everything. Yeah, so yeah, search by school district, fire district, all sorts of things. Report, like some of these buttons, I don't even know what that's just the parcel report for that Corey's parcel that we were looking at, so.
Are there any areas that are restricted or by fee, or, I mean, are there things that you can't, you know, that we couldn't access for some reason that like staff could?
No, so the
You get reports that they get to sign up for a subscription.
Well, if you want to get registered deeds documents, you have to pay for those. So but I'm using this version when I'm talking to anyone on the phone or even a front counter. We're using this same version. We're not on a special login where we're seeing something different. Yep.
I wonder what the financial impact is for the county to have that. It is just such an economic driver to have that. It's crazy. I mean, every line of work.
Well,
A lot of businesses, everybody uses it.
Well, when we used to have WebGuide, I would give you the monthly report of our number of users, and that was always in that 250, 275 per day on a weekday, 250, 275 users, unique IP addresses that are using it. And then on the weekend, I think it was always around that 75-ish users.
Keep in mind, like when you think of an IP address, there could be 100 people behind that IP address.
Yes.
So I mean, when a company has a firewall, they all come back to that one. So I
Mhm.
mean, there's realtors, and even in our office, that'll be open on 4 computers at the same time.
Mhm.
And then also, by country, India was one.
Oh, there would be, we would get the results on where that IP was coming from. You'd always have a few overseas ones. Yep.
Will this provide that data?
It's supposed to eventually. I think we're still working.
It's on the bottom of their list.
Yes.
Things to do.
Yes. But it's always been the most used website that the county has, so. Yes, a lot of information out there. I always tell people, play with it. You're not gonna break it. Turn things on and off. Yeah, lots of information out there.
It seems a lot of footsteps sometimes.
Mhm.
And it,
Yeah.
Yep.
well, I used to use working and doing soil tests both. The topography and the soil mapping is really handy. And then from a staff perspective, when somebody's reviewing a soil test, if somebody says they found sand and you look, how'd they do that there? And you look and you might put out, oh, actually, there is a little pocket of sand there unexpectedly, but it's, otherwise you'd have to go look. Or require a verification, so.
The village of Grassburg has a real mixture. There are big areas of sand and then there are areas of clay. So that would be visible on here. As
Yeah,
well.
I mean, a soil class, you would have to go look up, is a 531A, does that mean it's a clay or a?
They go to the NRCS site to get the reports.
Yep.
They make, a 2 or 3 page assessment of each individual number, like Jason said, like 439 is Great Calm sand, I think, if I remember right. And you can go read a whole page and a half all about that sand if you want to. And then as a soil tester, that's significant. But for everybody else, it's like, okay.
So yeah, we got, like I said, those 2025 photos, we got the preliminary version of those back. We're doing some QA QC on it right now, so I would hope around the first of the year, we would have 2025 on the layer list, so that would be essentially the imagery list down here, it would be the new one on the top, so. Hopefully around the first of the year, but. Enough.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks so much.
can be overwhelming sometimes, but yeah.
Nice job.
Play with it. Yep.
Do you have any future agenda items?
I still have to get the floodplain ordinance to you guys. I didn't get a chance to get that done this month.
Next time, maybe.
I think there's 1 or 2 public hearing items for
I think
next
2 or
month.
3, if I remember.
Maybe a couple. Yeah.
With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make motion to adjourn.
Seconded by everybody. Good credit for it. My bike went off, I guess. Didn't matter, I didn't say anything important.